Hello. Happy Friday.
Good evening.
Apologies if I sound very muffled tonight. I have an issue with my microphone. I'm sure some people in the viewers will be privileged for that factor. But other than that, happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. Friday again. Good evening. We are graced with some reefing royalty. Steph. No, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for joining us. Don, thanks for coming back on, buddy. Really appreciate your input. And you've been working tirelessly back in the laboratory over your presentation on flow this evening, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Your workshop. Reefing workshop, shall I call it. But no, Steph, seriously, congratulations on Huxley. And it was amazing. There we are.
He's joining us tonight for a little bit.
Look.
Hello.
Oh,
his first live stream at 8 days old.
Yeah, he's already. He's had issues with his mic. I've tried to tell him, Tom, but he's pretty hilarious.
Start him young, definitely. But no,
thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I talked to you for last week, and it was great, mate. At Coral Freaks,
really appreciate that. So, thanks, man.
Those of you in the comments that were privileged enough to attend enjoyed it equally, definitely.
It was good.
Jamie, you good?
Yeah, not too bad. Glad this week's over, and we got a bit of normality on a Friday night now. It's good. Back to it.
It is.
Yeah.
And Jamie, this is your day job, water and stuff. So we're gonna you take centre stage tonight, dude.
I've been looking forward to getting rid of this week, and now we're going to talk about water chemistry. So, yay.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Don's been working tirelessly putting the presentation together, so it's going to be very informative this evening. But as always, if you have got any questions, comments, or anything you want to ask Don or anybody else, then please throw it in the comments section, and we will, as always, do our best to throw it up while we're in conversation. Right, let's just jump straight in then. Let's say hello to the 40-odd. In fact, Steph, I think maybe Huxley would be a good panel member moving forward.
Yeah, maybe I'll just go to bed.
Maybe he could host Coral Freaks 2030. I don't know.
30? I'm going to give him back now. I only did this to say hello. Go back to mummy. See you later. Bye. There you go. Look. There you go.
There we go. Strangling. Bless. Brilliant.
Go on.
Right, let's have a look. We've got in the house Friday evening, as always. OG, Mr. Wright. Hello.
I've got to say something about John Wright.
Go for it.
John Wright. When I was at Coral Freaks last weekend, I walked into the cafe bit, and I see him sat at a table. I went over and said hello, and I was like, I got overcome with emotion. I gave John a big cuddle. So, hello, John. Really good to see you. Hugged him, and he reached down into his box and he pulled out one of his, his famous coral mugs, and I was like, oh my God, is this the moment? And he pulled it out and he goes, Drippy said I had to give this to you, Salem. And I was like, fuck you, John. Fuck you.
Starting early.
There we go. Started early. 3 minutes in. There you go. Jamie breaks it. Okay, fair enough.
Hello, John.
So, is that how you left it? Was that how you left it? Anything else said on the matter, or just?
No, I politely just walked away and cried on my own.
Fair enough.
It's all right. Don't worry.
Emma's here this evening. Evening, Emma. Thanks for joining us as always. Techers Reef is in the house. Techers. Harry Bow. Really looking forward to his videos. He's really good at these. Really looking forward to the Coral Freaks videos that you're putting out. A bit nervous when he gave everybody a microphone at the Green Man on a Friday night, Steph. Don't know about you. I was a bit like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I think he's cut the bit.
I hope he has. I hope he has, because there was some colourful language. Anyway, good evening, Harry. Hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good. Here we go. Anthony's in the house. UK 120. Happy Friday to you.
Evening.
Here, so look. Daniel is with us. Good evening, Daniel. Tezar. What else we've got in here? So look. Critical Reef. Good evening.
Good evening.
Daniel Galka. Good evening.
Ooh, take the cannon down. Take that cannon down.
Yeah.
Junior R. Yo. Hope you good. Imran's is here. Hope you good. Imran.
Hi, Imran.
Chat. Hope you good. Critical's here. Gary Class. Hope you good. Nice to see you at the weekend. Steve Owen is with us as well. Good evening.
Good evening.
Steve. Someone say good evening.
East Coast Reefer.
There we go. That's the one. Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Could you throw that down? Dirty Tees is here as well. Oh, here he is. Good evening, Muffin Sausage Divers.
Hey.
Yes. He's diving in Leicester tomorrow, part of his final preparations for his trip down under with Roberto, aka Pelagic Swimmer, to Australia.
Is he going to go and see Mo while he's there?
I don't know. Oh, right, I've got you now. Mo from Leicester. No. Yeah. it would. Well, ironically, Mo was next. There you go.
Hey, hello, Mo.
That'll be good. Reefers Dan, hey all. Thanks for joining us. Trigger Reef Fish 45. Let's go. Happy Friday to you too, sir. Ryan's Reef, evening all from 40,000 feet en route to Thailand.
Wow. He's got a really like private little booth on the plane. I saw his post. It looks well nice.
Got such an hard life.
Oh my goodness.
Wicked.
Peter Parry is with us as well. OG, thanks very much. Richard Colombo, all hail Don.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello.
K13, thanks for joining us. Reefy Reese, great to see you at the weekend. Hope you're good, my man. Timothy in the house. Hope you're good. What else we got in here? Marky Mark from Ocean Sea Waves. Good evening. Jupers, Julie and Paul. Hope you're good. Great to see you. Nick and Stacey. Evening. We are getting our new frags glued down from Prime Corals tonight. Ooh, nice. Share with us what you've been fortunate.
Mark gave me a mug, by the way. Mark gave me a mug.
Okay, that's fine. But does that feel kind of like a third prize with the John Wright scenario, or I mean, you're obviously grateful for a free mug, but there's a little bit of kudos with the John Wright. I think John Wright's quite selective of who he gives them to, Jamie. So maybe you should, perhaps behave yourself a little better, a bit more. Maybe. I'm just saying. Mickey Boy Mix in the house. Evening, Mick. Hope you're good from MBM. Here we are. Depeche Mystery. Evening, all.
Good evening.
Let's have a look. What else we got in here? Prime Corals, who was just obviously had a purchase from some corals from Nick and Stacey. Have to tell us what's going on. Let's have a look. No, I've got issues with the microphone drip since I went on Steve-O's on Wednesday. It will not work. So there we go. Unfortunately, technical difficulties. At least I'm being honest. Ben's in the house. Evening, Ben. Hope you're good. He's got a question for you, Don, tonight, which hopefully I can share with you at some point. Mr. West is here as well. Hope I'm not missing anybody. William Schneider. Good evening. Tony Close UK. Good evening. Dave's Reef. Good evening. Right. This name just keeps popping up. I'm going to have to block it. Dave's Reef. Hope you're good. Nice to see you in the comments. He's with us.
Jay was missed at Coral Freaks. I'll say that. He was missed. He's always a face at these shows. Definitely. And to be fair, with Jay not being there was more chance of somebody else winning a Radion this year. And I've on it. Oh, here we are. And he was an amazing addition to the panel and to the guest list. Mr. Get out the comments, Mr. Corey. There you go. Corey.
That'll be good.
He was a seriously cool dude.
He is a seriously cool dude. Okay. I normally start with a bit of a moan. It wouldn't be a Friday if I didn't moan about something that's gone wrong. I did something rather stupid yesterday. And if I didn't talk about this, then there are a few people that know about this that would definitely be chanting in the comments for me to talk about this. So I'm just going to talk about it now. So I went to a pet shop yesterday and I was lucky, fortunate enough to buy a staghorn coral. Okay, it was a bit brown, bit lucky sorry for itself, and I thought, do you know what? It's got potential, but it was that big, it wouldn't go in the bag in the shop.
Wow!
And we tried a couple of times. Yeah, it wasn't really that dense. It was just because obviously staghorn's quite long, whatever you want to call it, spindly, whatever. So yeah, staggy even. Branching. So yeah, we tried several times bags. That didn't work. Bucket didn't work. So then the guy at the shop, who was a really nice guy. For those of you that are watching at home, you'll know what I mean. Danny from Pet City at Bradford. Amazing little shop. Pet shop naturally. So hamsters, reptiles, tropical, marine, pretty much everything. Really nice guy. Said, I'll bring you we'll put it in a poly box. We'll do it the Reefworks way. I was like, what's that? He was like, we'll fill it with water. We'll put a bag over it. We'll put it in a cardboard box. We'll wrap it all up. All good. I was like, okay. So I watched him get his polystyrene box, which was, I know I'm a bloke here. I'm kind of exaggerating with size, but I would definitely anticipate a good 2 foot by 18 inches sort of size, a fairly decent sized poly box, filled with not all the way to the brim, but at least 2/3 of the way with salt water. It was that heavy that we had to roll it out of the shop on a trolley to then lift it in the boot of my car. Okay. Yeah. You kind of know where I'm going with this. Yeah.
Cool.
So I get home and I thought it's going to be a bit of a stretch this getting out of the car because I'm not exactly the most athletic. For those of you who have met me, I know that. You know, I do try at times, but so yeah, I got it out of the car in the end. Bit of effort, and as I sort of huffed and puffed and got it to in front of the display tank, as I put it down, the box just disintegrated. So I had pretty much 40 litres of salt water floating around my living room. It went under the sofa. It went under the display tank. It absolutely obliterated the rug. And I don't even want to picture this, but I had to literally take off every item of clothing I'd got to try and create almost a
barrier
wall, a barrier to stop it from going any further.
Like a beaver.
Yes. So that's exactly what I did. And it took me the best part of probably 5 hours to put right. And then I had a light bulb moment that we got a wet vac. So I managed to sort of rectify it, but the laminate flooring did start to, blister a little bit, and yeah. But so note to self: don't transport corals in a poly box full of water. Anyway,
how's the coral though? It hasn't died to rubbing salt into the wounds, is it?
I was more bothered about the coral than I was. I actually got the box. So what happened is, as the box like I say, obliterated, I literally just managed to literally get a little sort of, I don't know, V sort of shaped side of it on the inside of it to keep up some water in it. Yeah, it got dipped and everything else, but it's still alive. But bearing in mind though that this is on the back of Friday night at the Green Man having a power cut. Yeah, and having to explain to my partner, well, actually after ringing my partner 22 times because she didn't answer her phone, to then get her dad to drive to my house to tell her that I'm trying to ring her to put the electric back on. Anyway, that happened Friday night. Saturday night, while we were in the Green Man, the ATO on the NIOS played up. So she was, and then So let's just.
It always happens when you go away. Always.
Yes, always happens when it goes away. So yeah, entertaining. Yeah.
Well, that's the rule of 3. You've done all 3 things have gone wrong now, so you're clear. You're good.
Anyway, so there you go. I just thought I'd share that. Entertaining, but yeah, don't transport corals in poly boxes unless they're bagged. Clearly. But anyway,
so you want to hear a better story than that?
Oh, of course, from the master.
So that's many years ago. There's a customer came here to buy some live rock. So he came down with several empty buckets. I said, well, there's a lot of live rock. How are you going to transport them? He said, oh, no problem. And he has a Rubbermaid top in his car, in the back of his trunk, filled with water. And he said he's going to carry all the live rock up there and put them in that Rubbermaid top in his trunk. I said that is really iffy, because with all the rock in there, it may not hold. Yeah. Is that no problem? Then later on, he told me when he was driving back home, the Rubbermaid top gave away in his car.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would naturally have rather the box disintegrate in the car rather than in my living room, but it was just panic. It was just literally just panic. And I mean, honestly, I'm not exactly. It was easy 30 if I twisted. There was easier full 25 litre, plus more in there. But yeah, anyway. Moving on. Right, Flo, Tom. Flo. You are the man when it comes to flow. Your famous line, like washing machine, was what I always take from one of your previous podcasts.
Washing machine. That's what it is.
Let's go.
Yep.
Flow.
Yep, let's go.
Here we go.
Flow. Yeah, one of the most important things in our reefing hobby. So, well, this photo I stole from UC University of California's website. So it looks good. Yeah, let's go to next. So this slide is to show you how the scientific world look at flow. All the scientists, they are not thinking about the home aquariums. They study the natural reef. So what's important for them is that basically this is just a slide to show you, well, what the scientists think why flow is important. It's called the coral boundary layer. There is so many words in here, so we can totally forget about that. So the take-home message is that there's a very thin layer of water right on top of the coral's skin. That is called the boundary layer. So that layer actually, the thickness of that water layer directly affecting the biochemical exchange between the coral and its surrounding water. That's basically what it is. So let's go to the next slide. This is just try to get your head start spinning. And this slide is to try to get your head spinning more. So there's one important thing about the boundary layer is about oxygen exchange. Oxygen is the key for all these living organisms, especially for coral that doesn't move around. So coral was stuck there. So it relying on the water to bring its oxygen in and also carry that carbon dioxide away when they're doing the biological process. So that is why this boundary layer is important, and the thickness of this layer is directly proportional to the flow that goes through the coral. So, and also this slide will tell you that it also removes the excess oxygen. So normally what we hear from all these YouTube videos so far, we learned that the flow coming in to bring the coral oxygen. There is one more role of the flow does to coral is to remove excess oxygen.
Yeah.
And the excess oxygen is actually can produce by photosynthesis, because that when photosynthesis happen, the coral takes it, the symbiosis algae take in carbon dioxide and then do the photosynthesis. The byproduct actually is oxygen. So if the flow does not carry this excess oxygen away, and it also can damage the cell, damage the coral itself. So this is another thing that the reason I put this slide here is because that the flow not only to bring the oxygen in for the animal, for coral as an animal, it also carry away the oxygen, the excess oxygen that produced by photosynthesis algae. So there's one interesting thing to mention here. So the oxygen in and oxygen need to be out. So next slide, please. Okay. And also here is here's actually is quite important thing. The flow also affect the coral's temperature. There is an age-old question people are talking about. So how come that in the ocean, the coral can sustain a much higher temperature than in our reef tank? Seriously. For example, when in the ocean, the temperature hits 82 degrees, the coral seems fine. Of course, now the Florida has this disaster because it hit about 90 degrees, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, that kind of thing. So I really have no sense about the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. So, so bear with me that all my what I'm talking about is all Fahrenheit. So I don't know why we still use inch feet while your British units. So okay. In our tank, so when the tank temperature reach around 81 or 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and the coral start to stress out. But that doesn't happen in the ocean. So why in the ocean, the coral actually seems to be more heat tolerant than the coral in our tank? That is because there's a huge amount of flow in the ocean. For example, so in the ocean, because the large amount of flow that going through the coral's temperature is the same as the surrounding water.
Because it's removing the heat.
Yes, exactly. But in our reef tank, we do not have this large amount of flow going through the coral. So normally the coral, due to their biological activity, especially during daytime, like photosynthesis and plus other biological activity, the coral is actually can be hotter than the surrounding water. So the scientific literature is saying about 1 degree Celsius hotter, but actually I saw other evidence that in captive environment, the coral can be 2 to 3 degrees Celsius hotter than the surrounding water due to their biological activity. So that is another yeah, go ahead.
So that's quite a lot, quite a big difference.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. So that means that if your thermometer on your apex saying now your tank is 82 degrees, your coral may be as high as 85 Fahrenheit.
Wow.
And you're already reaching into a zone that is really dangerous, very stressful for the coral. Despite your apex or your thermometer, whatever, saying your monitor temperature, saying that the temperature is fine. So that is the reason that flow is so important in a captive environment in a reef tank. And we should have this thing in our mind saying that if our tank is 76 degrees, well, let's say if our tank is 24 Celsius, our coral may be at 25, 26 degrees already. That is another reason why currently that I keep my tank at 76 Fahrenheit. I do not know what translate into Celsius. Maybe like 23 or 22 or something like that. 76, right? So the reason is that I'm expecting my coral actually is a few degrees hotter than the surrounding water. Despite I have a washing machine, I have a many washing machine in this room. The flow is just like, well, it generates lots of wave and lots of noise as well. So that's the reason I prefer to keep the temperature in our tank a little bit lower, because I'm expecting the coral is hotter than the surrounding water. So next slide, please. That's
So
another
Jamie,
important thing about flow. Yeah, go ahead.
Jamie, you need more flow. That's why you're looking so red, because you're really hot. You need more flow around you, mate.
Yeah, I'm locally hot, you see. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you can use more beer. When the beer flow into your gut, it's a flow.
This beer's pretty rubbish tonight.
So today, if there's only one take-home message about flow, and I try to persuade you that's the most important thing on a reef tank is the standing wave. Forget about all this boundary layer. Forget about all these signs about it. One important thing about flow is the standing wave in a reef tank, is how important it is and how useful it is. So we all know about all this linear flow that the power head generated sideways, and people using push and pull or whatever method and creating this gyro flow. But as SPS keeper, especially for people who keeping SPS, if your frac is just like this, no big deal about your flow. But if your frac is like this, now think about the sideway flow will have hard time to reach the branch in the middle. So how do we satisfy the flow requirement of an SPS colony with all this branch there? The outside branch will shield the flow from the inside branch. The inside branch is not going to get enough flow if the flow going this way. The answer is standing wave. What exactly is a standing wave? It's a wave like this. Basically, the water is moving up and down, up and down. That is called a standing wave. So this standing wave is basically washing your coral in an up and down motion.
That's what Leonardo talked about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's why when you look at Leonardo's tank, creating a standing wave actually is the highest priority of any flow strategy.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Steph's looking at his flow. Just give us a wave. Just give us a wave, Steph. That's enough of a wave for now.
So the standing wave is the one that is the most important for all kinds of coral that you keep in your tank. People will say, then how zoensis benefit from standing wave? Actually, the zoensis has, see the paddle is right there, and the wave is washing up and down and washing its backside of the zoensis. And a lot of times the zoensis has something called a zoa fungus. They have a bacterial infection or fungal infection on zoensis. It's because there's not enough flow reaching the backside of the little flower petal. So the standing wave is your answer for that. So, yep. And let's go to the next slide, please. And now, this is a slide that to show you that the first priority actually is the most important priority of generating flow in your reef tank is standing wave. And that's actually happening in the ocean. The up and down motion, that is really the most important thing to wash the coral.
Wouldn't have any room for corals if it were dropping like that, though. It's like halfway down your tank.
Pardon?
You see the wave on this bottom left?
Yes, that's a wave box.
I mean, my tank's very shallow.
It's basically a rocking motion like this. That's actually part of standing wave. And that is a very typical, the signature wave of a Tunzi wave box.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah, it works very good. So this is but then the Tunzi wave box, if you have a wave like this, there is one drawback right in the middle of this kind of wave. Right in the middle, there's not much going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I experienced it in the display in the SPS tank downstairs because I had frags that because the tank downstairs is built in with a pelmet. Unfortunately, I can't get to look down on corals that much. I just look face on, and I had a bit of STN on a couple of corals. I think I gave you a piece, Steph, and a few others at the barbecue, the Valida, the blue one, and simply because there was detritus building up on the middle of the coral.
Yes,
and it was a bit self-inflicted because that's where I feed the fish. So I pour the food in, and a lot of the food was going in the coral. It wasn't getting flushed out, like you're saying, even though the polyps are out and they're moving, which tells me there's enough flow in my head anyway. Not that it's not full of much, but you know what I mean. And but then I started to get STN on the coral. When I really looked down on the coral from above, I could see so much die off because, like you say, a lot of detritus had built up. And it had not been pushed out.
Yep.
I remember
the standing way. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say one of the first things that Mara said she does every single day with a pipette is go into the colonies and clear every day. It's a daily chore. We call it that.
But if you generate a 2 to 3 inch wave, the standing wave,
it does
up
it
and
for
down
you.
motion. Yeah, it does it for you. So I do not have to do this turkey basting for my SPS colony for years because of the washing machine effect. It just keeps.
So as we talk about standing wave, then, because there's been a few comments in here actually. I think one of the suggestions was from Dan was saying this should be the standing dong wave. So maybe that should be a setting that manufacturers should program onto power heads moving forward. But what I want to ask you though, you're saying about this sort of this seesaw almost effect. Where does that start? Like Steph was saying a minute ago about, depending on your rockscape and your aquascape, should I say? Sorry. How does that affect your running height of the tank? Because I'm sure that's going to have that's going to impact the running height of the tank and maybe noise from the weir and overspill. How would somebody implement that effectively?
Actually, this is a question it was asked ever since Tunzi has Tunza. Is it Tuns? Tuns having a wave box. So because people are talking about, oh yeah, is that will that compromise the integrity of the tank? Well, it has been going on for like 2 decades, right? So this the wave box has coming out for like 20 years. And plus all the other wave maker on the market for like a decade and more, creating all sorts of crazy wave action. There is zero evidence showing that this will affect the integrity of the tank, unless you have a Red Sea tank. Sorry about that. Because there's so many of them are falling apart here. It's just unbelievable. Every week I look at it. People, oh my God, my Red Sea tank busted. That kind of thing. So sorry about that.
I think for the these Tunzi wave boxes, you can't deny the effect they do in a tank just looks amazing, right?
Yes.
But you've got to have a fairly so that the socket tank AAC's got a Tunzi wave box. It's just incredible the flow it gives. But you've got to have kind of like a tank made for a wave box. So for example, it can't go in a tank that's braced because it has to sit so far above the surface. So it doesn't always fit in a braced tank. Yeah. And secondly, you've also a lot of modern tanks.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it had to be above the surface. I thought
it hasn't got to be it hasn't got to be above the sort of top of the tank.
A little bit.
It has to sit out a certain amount. But the other thing that I was going to go on to is a lot of the modern tanks that are made, the built-in weir boxes they keep the water level quite high. So you can't have your wave box doing too much because you are, like people were saying, you get it sloshing all over the sides and all the rest of it. You've got to have kind of a tank made around, I'm going to get a wave box. I'm going to design my tank with a shallower weir and all that sort of stuff.
That's a very good question. I have an answer for that. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, okay. Now, at the beginning, I was truly believing in the wave box have something magical about it. Then, because that during one time my coral grows so much, I want more tank space. I took the pump out of the wave box. I chucked the box away. I just used the pump. It does exactly the same thing.
What?
You don't need the box. You do not need the box. You just need to tune the pump. The pump will do exactly that, achieve the same effect as a wave box.
Really?
And,
Explain.
Yep.
What does it look like?
Just use the pump, come with the wave box, and just dial the controller a little bit, fine-tune it a little bit, you achieve the same effect.
Wow.
Then, after that, I use a J-bow pump. Achieve the same effect as a Tunzi pump. Yep.
Right, okay.
Right now,
Which one? Which J-bow? Sorry, Doug.
Okay.
Go.
Yes, that's something I'm going to talk about soon.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Yep. And I use a J-bow gyre, the long thin one. By fine-tuning it, achieve the same effect. For matter of fact, because I don't know if you can, it's hard to see. That tank there, see the up and down wave action?
Yes,
it's pretty different. Yeah, see? It's a rocking wave box action.
Yeah.
It's achieved by one single J-bow gyre. That's it.
How have you got that set then?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just fine-tuned it a little bit. But here, now let me tell you some interesting thing about it. Okay, let's go back to that slide. Now, what I found out is that you do not need the box. then what is the but there is some secret sauce in there to create this rocking motion. The box is there to concentrate the pressure? No, it doesn't. It doesn't need it at all. But the wave box can gain a pattern. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Because the pattern of Tunzi's wave box probably is already expired, but it's about the box. What's in the box? Probably not.
I've got plenty of boxes in this office with stuff
okay.
in it. Anyway, for another day.
Okay. So then there is interesting fact about MP40. I tried to use the MP40. This is true, genuine Ecotech MP40 website. It doesn't work. The MP40 does not create the wave box effect, nor does the J-Bows, the J-Cast Alchipo clone of MP40. It doesn't. And what turns out the most effective pump to achieve this wave box effect, of course, is the Tunzi itself and the J-Bows SOW series wave maker. Guess why? I found out why that's the case. On an Ecotech pump, it never allows you to the propeller to stop. Even though it tells you have a short pulse wave action, the propeller is constantly spinning. Same as the Ecotech cologne made by the J-Bow, that guy there. The difference between the Tunzi wave box controller and its pump, as well as that guy, the J-Bows, this is a used one. Just take it out for cleaning. J-Bows SW20. The trick is that the propeller on and totally off. On and totally off.
Yeah.
That is what really creating the rocking effect.
So what about everyone? I'd say everyone. Most of us, no, all of us reef keepers have more than one power head in our tanks, right? So do they interfere? Do you have to have one running, or can you have multiple? Can the others at the other end of the tank kill it?
Okay, this is a wonderful question that I'm going to talk about. I actually make a note out of that beforehand to talk about this thing. So first of all, the answer is that all you need just one big boy to make the rocking wave. One. If you have more than one, actually, it cancel each other out sometimes. It doesn't work as well. One single one, and you want the largest one ever that you can put in your tank. Why is that? It's very simple. So if you look at the rating flow rate of a power head, how it is measured? It is measured when it's at full power, linear blowing the water, similar to the horsepower of a car. The size of the motor is more like the torque of an engine. So when you're doing a short pulse mode to generate a wave, the propeller never spin up to the full speed. So the horsepower of this pump is irrelevant. The torque of the pump is the deciding factor if you can generate a rocking motion.
Makes sense.
Because the propeller never get to spin up to the full speed. So the flow rate doesn't matter. But the size of the motor, the torque, the propeller, in that 0.1 second, how much water it can pulse, that is a deciding factor. And normally to generate a rocking wave like this, your pulsing frequency probably less than 0.1 to 0.2 seconds. That means that you rule out all the AC power pump. You got to have a DC power wave maker to on and off at that frequency.
Mo was asking you, can he use one SOW on his 8 foot by 8 foot tank?
Absolutely. Oh, 8 foot by 8 foot. That's not
Yeah,
a tank. That's a swimming pool. Okay. Now, you can use, let's see, 8 foot by 8 foot. What you need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the largest SOW20. Link them together. Synchronize them. The push and pull at the right exact same moment. Yes, then your water will guarantee to end up on the floor. So your wife can really kick you out and let you sleep in the garage. Absolutely. Yes. So for a larger tank, get a bunch of the largest SOW. Just use the controller. The controller of J-Bow can link up to like 100 pounds or something like that. Master and slave. They push and pull at the same frequency. Line them up at one side of the tank and watch the magic happen. And prepare to have a mop and Tom's t-shirt. And the barrier to take care of the floor.
If somebody genuinely, Dong, if somebody was planning on implementing what we're talking about, what you're obviously talking about and put together this evening, thank you again very much for doing so. How would you advise them to do it in terms of, should they keep the current power heads that they've got in the tank and turn them down, remove them, or add this as addition? Because you're saying master slave, people watching obviously are going to have other equipment already in their tanks. They might want to try and, if they have one of these, or they might go out and buy one of these and experiment. What would you've said a mop, obviously, all joking aside, how will people implement this into their reef tank?
So basically, what you want, if you already have the J-Bow pump, what you want to do is to synchronize them at one master and the rest of them all slave. Put it on the W1 mode, which is the short pulse mode, and adjust the master's frequency and watch your tank come to life. And line them up and at one side, not opposite to each other. They have to be on one side of the tank. Because when the two power heads on opposite each other, they cancel each other out. It doesn't create this the rocking motion. So on one side, line them up and synchronize them, W1 mode, and turn the dial carefully. Make sure you grab a cup of coffee and sit there and watch. Because the wave will happen after probably about 10 or 15 seconds later on. Think about that. To rock such a large volume of water, there's a delay time. So you do not want to set your frequency at one point and walk away, because you will come back with Tom's t-shirt to mop your floor.
Tom's t-shirt.
Dong, do you not think it's possible to achieve that if you've got two MP40s on the same side, so you can program them so one is on, off, then the other one on. So you do get that stop. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but I have the MP40 here. No matter what I do, the MP40 propeller does not stop at all. Maybe the older version does. But the current version with the Mobius, they won't allow the propeller to stop at all. So it's less effective that way. And a $60 J-Bow will solve the problem. And that J-Bow is cheaper than the west side alone. And you can just add an extra J-Bow to rock the tank.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I also observed the DMP, which is the J-Bow cologne.
Yeah.
It does exact same thing as the MP40. The propeller does not stop at all. So it's not, no matter how I program it, it doesn't achieve the effect I want. I can see some ripple, but it's not like the giant washing machine, giant wave that created by our cheapo pump. So for matter of fact, that I talk about this on one of my reef bump episode, and many people go out to buy the SLW20, and the feedback is really surprising. Is that everybody's saying, "Wow, that's cheap thing really make a standing wave very effectively." This is what I found as well. Yeah, you really cannot beat this guy. So I can physically see the propeller on, off, when you look at the MP40 propeller, always on. You just faster, slower, faster, slower. They never come to the stop.
So if you're using,
I feel like sorry, Joe. I feel like I should have had shares in AliExpress because over the last 5 minutes, I think the prices soared through the roof. Go on,
Oh,
James,
really?
I said if you're,
No, I'm just.
you've bought one of these Jabal SOW pumps for this purpose. I'm going to guess they've not been designed for this. You've just tweaked it to such a short on-off time. Is that?
Oh no,
it
it was designed for that.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah, it was. It was designed for that. So I remember that. I do not know if this is correct or not. When I talked to one of the pump manufacturer, they talk about why they don't want the propeller to stop is to minimize the wear and tear of the motor. I do not know how true this thing is, but why do you care about $60 giant thing, right? And I have been using this for like 4 to 5 years and still kicking and alive and kicking. So if I shorten the lifespan from 10 years to 4 years for this $60 pump, I don't care. Seriously.
So do you genuinely think that that's as effective, if not more, than a wave box?
Yes, as effective as a wave box. That's what I can say. As effective. The wave box is very effective, but the wave box without the box also effective.
That's really interesting.
So is there any truth to the thing? I always thought you needed the box because the pump pulses on so quick, it almost empties the box, and the water filling the void again is what creates that movement. So I thought you actually needed the box for that purpose, like quick empty, quick refill sort of thing.
I actually believe in that before. But after I took the Tunzi pump out of the box, you do the same thing. I totally don't believe that anymore.
That's thrown me.
Crazy. Yeah, I did as well. Yeah. I thought it was very similar to those plastic containers you see filling up, and then they, fall over, kind of create that.
I can see that the water up and down inside the box.
Yeah.
But experiment always tell the truth, right? So I can achieve the same thing without the box, even without the tons. Without the box, that means the box probably is not needed.
I mean, that is like literally vitally good information, because I think the reason why not many people went and bought the Tunzi Wave box because it's a huge box to have in your display tank.
Yeah,
that was what's holding it back, right? So if you can do it with a hidden flow pump somewhere, then
I was only looking at one at AAC on Sunday because I want to try and create a bit more flow in the SPS tank downstairs. And this has really got my reefing juices flowing and thinking, sure. So just before we move on to the next slide. So the SOW range then. So if I said it a minute ago, if somebody's wanting to do this, what sort of limitations have these pumps got in terms of tank volume, size, and stocking sort of levels? Where would you sort of advise? Obviously, Mo was saying there about his 8x8 foot tank. When would somebody maybe need 2 of these, or is the rule just 1?
Actually, for a 125-gallon tank, I can get away with 1. That means this one 6 feet by 18 inch by 21 inch. So I also see people at a 180-gallon tank, they can get away with 1. So let's say if you go with the largest SOW20, and I will do it more conservatively, saying that every 100 gallon, like 400 liter of water, you need 1. Every 400 liter of water, you get 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk to me quickly then about positioning, because this is equally just as important, I'm assuming. So where you said on one side, which obviously given, we pick a side, back panel, whatever, where we've already got power head. So we always talk about corals with direct flow and the damage that it can do to certain corals with direct flow. So if you've got, if somebody's watching right now who's got a tank downstairs that wants put, where would you position it? As in, where
so
lower
the
down,
most effective way. Actually, I will position this power head on the shorter side of the wall, like that, the side wall.
Yeah.
look at this one. You see the pump right there? Well, it's not very clear, but the guy, this is SOW20, right at this position. It is closer to the top of the water surface without sucking in air. That's the optimal position. So as high as possible without sucking in air and let it pulse away. And another good thing is that it agitates the water surface much more effectively. That increase your air exchange as well as a side benefit. So I will put them on the sidewall as high as possible and pointing at open space. So you do not want this pump to point at your coral because they're going to kill your coral. Yeah. You want to point at an empty space. It doesn't matter if you point it left or right because it's oscillating the water instead of pushing. Actually, it's like generating a frequency to make the whole water start to rock. So that means
so would you stop using the others at the same time then? So if you've already got, like I keep saying, people at home, they've got a reef tank, you've got 3 or 4 power heads, would you turn them off and observe?
No, you don't.
You've added?
This is just additional. You don't turn them off because the other power head are providing all the linear flow that like a gyre, that the linear flow also very important. So, but the most important thing, of course, is the standing wave, and our cheaper way to generate standing wave. So that's the take-home message I want to put up here.
Just a quick question from Alan on this conversation before we do move on. Does the width of the tank make a difference to how many you need? So when would you start?
Actually,
sort
of... for a tank, I experienced from a tank from 12-inch to 24-inch. It doesn't matter. But of course, the dial on the controller will be different position. Yeah. So you just need to experiment it and watch the wave to go up and down. So there always a sweet spot, so you can see all the water suddenly come to life, dancing up and down.
So when would somebody need to add a second one? Just if they've got a deeper tank than 24 inches. Like
I would probably get 2.
Okay. Yeah. At the point you go over the 24 inches.
Yeah, if you're more than 24 inch, you probably get 2 of them. Okay. But it's always a try and error. So you can put one in to see if you can generate like 2 to 3 inch wave, the standing wave. But if it doesn't, add another one. Make sure you synchronize them together, both of them on the same side. If you put them on the opposite side, it doesn't work as well. The reason for that is that there is a misconception about power head. People are talking about push and pull. So normally they will have 2 power heads on each side of the tank, and the so-called push and pull effect. This is a lie because no power head can spin backward. You just push and push. So there is no push and pull. So when you have 2 power heads aimed to each other, you're basically canceling each other out. As simple as that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, I think we're ready for another slide then.
Yeah, move on. Okay. I want to mention this Tunzi. This thing is a Tunzi Stream 3. I think this is it's a very old product, but it's one of the really effective products to generate gigantic amount of wave. For this guy,
got that design up in Ann Summers, Steph. Don't know about you.
Oh yeah, this guy is amazing.
Yeah,
and also it has minimal wear and tear. So remember, I was talking about some manufacturers saying the totally stop and go motion actually can damage the motor. To make the lifespan motor is whatever shorter. Tunza, whatever. Stream 3 actually is a perfect answer for that. The reason for that is that the propeller basically is floating inside the very long housing. That's the minimum contact of that. So you can spin whatever it is and stop whenever they want to without any damaging to the motor or the shaft or the propeller or anything. That actually is a really good product. So But the drawback is that this freaking thing is long. It's pretty big to housing the magnetic levitated propeller. But it's a wonderful product if you want to try it out. That thing can guarantee you to utilize Tom's t-shirt and a shop vac.
Sounds like
So
sounds like being a teenager again, all this.
When I took one of these apart in the AAC show tank, we took it out. Paul's had it running for like 9 years. He's had it out 3 times, and so they just run and run and run. And when we sort of cleaned it all up, the impeller in those are huge, and they're tapered.
Yeah.
They're thinner at one end on the impeller on the magnet. And I was like, what does that do design wise? Why does the magnet need to taper down to a thinner end? What does that do?
I think it's something to do with the totally contactless for the basically to allow them the whole magnet to float inside the chamber. Yeah. They're and also the propeller have to be magnetically stabilized inside, like a gyroscope, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of tricks to make sure that a contactless propeller, the magnet, how it spins stable, doesn't fall to the magnet. Many of technology to create this thing. That's why it's odd shape and long.
Okay.
But think about it. A pump that you never need repair, never need replacement.
Well, I was just about to ask you, Dong, how often do you clean your power heads in your farm?
Okay. How often do I clean the power head? Not very often, because this guy is $60. Just let it run until I'm so sick and tired of it. I pull it out, I toss it in the trash can, and get a new one in. It's that easy. This is truly maintenance free.
Well,
This is called maintenance free.
I kind of wanted a number because I'm too tight to even do that. What's the maximum you would go time wise before you clean
A power head? Probably every 3 to 4 months. That is not because of it's because all the growth, all the corner algae make the power head so ugly outside, and sometimes you have some algae that the fish cannot get to. That's the reason to try to clean them. Otherwise, there's really not that much reason to clean it.
Wow.
So every time I clean it, I put it out, the inside is pretty clean. There's really not much to clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that it, at Christmas and birthdays then? Do you get bought Jebel pumps? Is that what the family buy you? Instead of socks, you get Jebels, maybe? Anyway, okay. Moving on. Linear flow.
So, yeah, linear flow. Yeah, it's important. Also, it can be dangerous because that many LPS and many torch hammer frog spawn get killed by linear flow.
Right.
So, what I want to give you one take-home message for the linear flow is that for LPS-dominated tank with lots of hammer frog spawn, the standing wave may be already sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably doesn't even need a linear flow.
Can we just rewind linear flow? Can we just describe what it is?
The linear flow basically is a flow that generated by a power head but blowing sideways, but in a constant speed.
Yeah.
So it is very when you generate a standing wave, not only the water does not just moving up and down, it also have a linear proportion of it in there also. So for LPS tank, I would just take a standing wave is sufficient enough. But for SPS, you want another power head to move the water to generate a linear, like a gyre, like a circle.
Yeah.
That is to continue to bring the nutrient in, bring the waste out.
Yeah.
But SPS is much more tolerable to a linear flow than LPS. LPS got killed by linear flow. Here's a side note. If you have anemone tank, anemone tank is really difficult to maintain because that anemone has a bad habit to crawl into the power head and blast into millions of pieces.
Yeah.
So what you want is a section of the tank has no power head inside. How do you achieve that? Is by using return pump. Oh, no. It doesn't work. Because I used to have a Tunzi wave box on an anemone tank. The anemone is just covering the freaking box. And some of them can even crawl through it to get inside and chop into pieces. So what you want to do on an anemone tank is use a DC return pump that is sufficiently big. And many of the DC return pump actually has a wave function in it. You can dial the DC return pump to generate a standing wave inside your anemone tank.
So I think a question that's going to be on many people's lips right now is how do you know if you've got enough flow? How do you know?
How do you know if you have got enough flow or not enough flow? This is actually an art, because that all the so-called flow meter either is ultra expensive and not accessible to the hobbyist, or is totally a flawed and doesn't tell you jack. What you want to do is to look at the coral. All you can do is look at the coral and pray. Just kidding. So for standing wave is a non-harmful kind of. It does not harm the coral, no matter how high the standing wave it is. So what you worry about is the linear flow. So one way to do it is I read somewhere, and there's a guy that talk about probably about 4 to 5 centimeter per second of the flow. Actually, it doesn't need to be that precise. All you want to do is get some pellet food and toss it into the tank. I don't have any, right? So, it doesn't show up on the camera. The fish are happy. So I toss some of the pellet food, and you can see that how fast it moves around in the tank. So what you want is that maybe within a few seconds, the food particle from this side go to the other side, you're fine. As long as your power head is not directly blasting on the coral, then you can have pretty high linear flow without having any issue. There's another way to look at it is that you set up the linear flow, you come back the next day. If you look at your LPS, and if that coral looks shrivel up, you might have too much flow. So you drop it a little bit. Yeah. So that's basically, that is the good part about the standing wave, because you can have as much as possible a standing wave. It doesn't damage the coral. That is a really safe way to increase the flow in your tank without worrying that linear flow to damage your coral.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think you've sold quite a lot of these tonight, Dong, to be fair.
Oh, definitely.
I think you've sold quite a lot of these pumps tonight.
No, I'm not familiar with them. I don't even know who they are. The J-Bar.
Yeah, he's on commission.
No, not commission, not sponsor. I don't. This is what I use. The reason I use them, because they're also very inexpensive. That's what it is. Inexpensive is the key. And also they have a very low failure rate these days. That's the important thing. If this thing only lasts for about 6 months, 3 months, no, that's not going to cut it. But just this pump itself is 3 years old. I pulled him out because it was crusted with all kind of junk. So, and after I clean it, I just put a brand new one in there. But for this show, I didn't toss this guy in the trash can. So at least I have something to show. But I bought a brand new one and put it in. Yeah, this guy just sit there. So
what percentage in terms of power do you tend to run these on?
Okay, that's a very good question. When you are generating a standing wave, the power is 100%.
Okay.
Yes. That is, the reason for that is to maximize its torque. Remember, the propeller never spin to the full speed. So the flow rate, how many gallons per hour is irrelevant. Nonsense for that parameter. most important thing is the torque of the motor. To create a maximum torque, you put it at 100%. All my DJ Bao a wave maker to generate standing wave, they're all at 100%. Then you twist the little dial to get the frequency.
Fair point from Nick at Reefing by Design. Evening, Nick. Are we good? How many Jabao can you buy per MP40, MP60 in comparison?
A lot. That allow me to toss one of this every year and still coming ahead of time. So this is $93 and is recommended to be replaced every year.
Right.
Well, from the previous episode, already explained why they recommend to replace every year. $93, $60. So even I toss one of these every year, I still have $30 to buy a very expensive McDonald's fast food meal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, let's go.
Few people getting a bit nervous with the statements who've got Red Sea tanks. That will definitely blow the seams off my legs.
But I think the Red Sea tank is due to its rimless design and with all this thin silicone. I think they solved the problem already for the Gen 2, Gen 3.
We'll talk about that on another show. Right, okay.
So
here we go.
Now here comes the simplest, easiest, the least expensive way to set up a simple flow. So you got two of this. One short post on the back side of the tank. Put another one at the closer to the front of the tank. And right now that you are not going to put them on 100% for this linear flow, maybe 20%, 30%, and aim this one slightly toward the front glass. Let the flow bounce from the glass and create a circle. So that $120 solution for your simple reef tank. Or even can save more money by getting a smaller version of this to do the linear flow. So let's say it's $100 solution for your tank.
Steph's absolutely mesmerized by this, aren't you, Steph?
I'm just like, well, I mean, you know, I'm happy with my flow, but I don't want to say it because Don's just ripped.
I think
them apart.
I think it's kind of low, right?
No, the flow. Like if you look at that torch coral there, it's it's just it's nice. It's not been blasted, and that's in the middle, and I've got them on either side. You know? No,
that looks pretty good. I normally put the torch
and look at the top
in a
as well.
separate
There
tank.
is that kind of, you know. So they're on the short pulse anti-sink.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, I don't know, and they look a bit better. So
yeah. So if it works, it works because this is a hobby. Yeah. So the thing is that when we are talking about SPS heavy tank, the standing wave become more and more important. The more SPS you have, the larger the colony it is, the more important the standing wave it is.
I think for me, I know you're calling it the wave and we're talking about this motion, but what I've taken from the chats we've had with Leo and you're kind of reiterating a little bit here is it's almost like a vacuum. And then it's at the same time, it's like a turkey baster, like you were saying about Mari.
Oh yeah, very similar.
It's the up and down. It's the up and down. And you're suspending that detritus, aren't you? And giving it a vehicle almost to get it out, as opposed to it just being hidden around or dotted around the polyps or the growth of a coral, which is what I experienced downstairs. So yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, the standing wave is a king of the wave. Let's move on. Okay. So there are some product I want to mention here is that one is the Ocean Sea Wave. And I think that is a beautiful product and is ancestor. On the left-hand side is the ancestor of the Ocean Sea Wave. And that is called oh my goodness, my brain is fried. I'm so old. I forget what it called. But is the I think it's sea swirl or something like that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's older. It's the original ocean sea wave. That is actually a very good product, especially when the power head can do this motion and also pulsing to generate a standing wave. That's a pretty good scenario. Yeah, sea swirl. Yeah, that's a sea swirl. So, but the drawback of the sea swirl is and you need pretty big open space to for them to mount it there. I cannot use that on this tank because it's so cramped. The coral is so cramped, so I have just no way for me to put it on. But this is a definitely good product. So to have this sweeping motion, and that actually solves some of the problem of the linear flow that really harsh to coral. Think about it, that if a coral keep being blasting by a constant flow, it really stressful.
Yeah.
But if it's sweeping this way, it solves that problem. If your tank can accommodate an ocean sea wave, you should do one for the linear flow. And leave this poor $60 pump at the back. Pump. It's an ocean sea wave. It's a good product. So
It's on commission again.
not
isn't it?
sponsor. I do not know them. Not sponsor. So, but it is a good product. Yeah. Okay, move on. Now we talk about the Carson search device. This is you can only see them in museum right now, and
This is
that
what I was
is
trying to
one
describe
of the.
earlier.
Oh, that is one water movement of incredible water movement. Basically, it's like flushing the toilet inside your reef tank. A gigantic toilet. It is a toilet. Seriously.
Just with no Mr. Hanky, you know?
So, a toilet without Mr. Hanky. So that thing is so powerful. And you can see the water being just dumped down the whole tank. Everything come to life. But it's really not a very practical solution in a home reef. But if you don't mind to put a toilet in front of your reef tank, you will be amazed about what it can generate. It's
every time I go to the Sea Life Centre and see these happening, they're like crashing down a couple of ton at a time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I could make a small one of those and that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Like
you call it dump bucket.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're simple. They break, some of them just fill up with water, and just when the weight just tips it out, doesn't it? That's all it does.
Steph,
actually,
that look. Sorry, Dong. Steph, that look on your face. Come on, explain. You look.
I just think it's a bit daft. It's unrealistic.
It's daft. Okay.
It works. I get it why it works, but I think we no one's going to be able to do that. It's like Jamie said at Sea Life Centre, yeah, but at home.
No, you're not going to want it in your living room. You're going to get splash and salt creep everywhere. But the idea is,
look at the state of that above his tank.
Yeah. So, but also a good solution for anemone tank.
Oh yeah, I'll stick that on my anemone tank.
Yeah. No power head, nothing. Just dump it in. For matter of fact, I saw this thing in Connecticut in aquarium. They have a cold water anemone tank. Just a dump bucket. Like every several seconds, the huge amount of water just drop down. And you can see all this anemone come to life right at that moment. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now we go to the second topic. How clean is your water? Yeah, that's iced tea anyway. And so how clean is your water? Next slide. Let's start with the beginning of the water, the RDI unit. So TDS is one parameter. It's full of crap.
Yes.
Literally. So basically, when people think about zero TDS is good, no, I can tell you that zero TDS tells you jack. It's not the full picture.
Yep.
How a TDS meter is measured. Oh, wow. Look at that. Oh, don't let my wife see it. she will adapt one.
Oh,
Oh.
headphones off.
Okay, so I frequently get asked this question. My RODI is 0 TDS, but why my core look like crap? I tell them because your TDS meter did not tell you the full story about what's in your water. So what TDS means, it just tells you there's no charged molecule inside your water. And also a high TDS does not mean bad water. You can try to do this. Get a tropic marine salt, Pro Reef, the so-called the best salt you can get, dissolve it and measure its TDS. Several thousand, skyrocketed. So TDS number does not equal to good water parameter. More important, there's many things does not get detected by a TDS meter despite they're in your tap water. First is like all these forever chemicals. That is pretty harmful to the humans. Of course, that will be also harmful to the organic molecule, that also harmful to your reef tank. And if your water, especially people actually live on a well water, I don't know how frequent that you have well water in UK, but there's so many people, so many people in US are on well water. You're at the mercy of the nature when you're on well water, because that you can potentially have all sorts of organic pollution, as well as microorganism pathogens like bacterial, virus, and parasite. None of this will be detected by your TDS meter. And if your water has contaminated by pesticides and other toxic organic compounds, the TDS meter does not tell you that. And worst of all, lead. So this information are pulling out from a government website. So tell you what your RODI can protect you and what they cannot protect you. Lead, hexavalent chromium, fluoride. We need to stop right there. Fluoride does not show up on your TDS meter. As well as your RODI unit are very poor equipment to remove fluoride. So if you have fluoride in your tap water, you probably do not need to dose fluoride, despite your TDS meter reads 0.
Wow. Because
fluoride does not register on your TDS meter, nor does it get filtered out effectively by your RODI unit. So if you're, and also fluoride is one nasty compound that not nasty, but very difficult to be detected, to be measured. First of all, ICP machine, it does not do a good job on fluoride. For matter of fact, people shouldn't use ICP to measure fluoride, period. Well, you can see the foreign marine, and they on their website, they have a statement about fluoride. They use a different machine to measure the fluoride. I think that's a very good thing to do. So because the ICP itself is not a good instrument to measure fluoride. So, and fluoride has been demonstrated by so many hobbyists that is quite important in your reef tank, right? So many people have the dose fluoride. The guys in Germany, of course, that in the tap water in Germany, in many EU country, there's no fluoride in the tap water because they don't care about the teas, right? No, I'm just kidding. I asked you, Tom, that is UK has fluoride, so you said, yeah, you have fluoride. So for a country that does not have fluoride in the tap water, you may seriously consider dosing fluoride, as well as using a service like Fauna Marine that use a correct instrument to test your fluoride level. Okay. So that, and if you already have fluoride in your tap water, you may be fine.
Tom, can we just rewind a second? So we want to
Yep.
talk about this because I think I'm a firm believer that you start with the source in terms of your marine tank, which is your water quality. Obviously, we're constantly testing parameters, trying to chase numbers, whatever. So rewind the source of your water. If you're mixing your own water, but equally if you're not and you're putting RO from a shop into your tank, what sort of things should people be thinking about? This was the whole sort of brains behind this topic of conversation. So you've listed, there's a bit of scaremongering here. So there's a lot of things, as you're rightly saying, that aren't going to be measured or show up on a TDS pen. So preventative measures for people watching at home. We're going to probably go on to that in a minute. What should people be doing, maybe?
Yes, actually, before that, one thing that I want to point out, then we can lead to the what you want us to discuss is the chlorine and chroramine does not show up on your TDS meter, and that is the reason. For me, personal opinion, not representing anybody. One, I do not buy RO water from any pet store because I do not know how those water are being generated. Second, to make RODI water, well, for me, of course, I don't forget that I have the magical tap water. That's a different story. Many people doesn't have that luxury. So if you want to make RODI water, you want to make it your own. You do not trust anybody. The reason for that is that the most important thing in your RODI unit to get rid of all this drawback of TDS measurement is your carbon filter. That is the most important cartridge in your carbon filter to get rid of all this nasty stuff that we mentioned here that cannot be detected by your TDS meter.
And in England, this is what we would class as pre-filters. So this is your first stage, isn't it? Yeah.
Right after the cinnamon filter is the carbon filter, right? Yeah. So the carbon filter, think about it, the water only passes through the carbon filter once. It's quite different from you put a carbon reactor or a bag of activated carbon in your sump, because that in that case, the water is recirculating through the carbon reactor, as well as that, the bags of carbon, they're recirculating. So the impurity have multiple chance to get captured by the carbon, but not on your RODI unit. Your RODI unit is one pass only. That means you want that RODI, you want that carbon cartridge at top shape.
And it's worth saying as well that the only reason you have a carbon cartridge in your RODI setup is to take out chlorine and chloramines, because chlorine will very, very quickly damage your RO membrane. Absolutely.
You also escape from your RO membrane. It passes through it.
Probably as a byproduct of it damaging it. It damages the pore structure of the membrane. So you have to take the chlorine out to sustain the life of the actual membrane. So a lot of people, I think where you're going with that is a lot of people don't change that carbon cartridge enough. So they should be changed really probably every 3 months if you're using it heavily.
No. 3 weeks is the maximum you should allow your carbon cartridge to be stay in place.
Yeah, it depends on your incoming level of chlorine, I suppose. But if you are in the UK, we run at about 0.2, 0.3 ppm chlorine coming in, something like that, maybe less. So again, if you've got in parts of the country, if they're working or whatever on the pipes and they're dosing it up to 0.78, 1 ppm, then it's going to kill it a lot quicker. So you've got to be careful. You've got to know what's coming in, basically. But how many people have tested the chlorine level of your mains water?
Definitely.
Unfortunately, all the home test kit for chlorine is pretty poor, not sensitive enough.
Yeah, I suppose I'm lucky with my work. I can test down to quite a low level with a photometer, but it's a pretty standard kit. It's basically it's a DPD tablet, which is the reaction. It's a little pink color test. You'd be surprised. It can vary throughout the year. So sometimes you'll get, probably in the summertime, you'll have a very low chlorine level because the reservoirs are turning over quickly or whatever. But other way around, in the winter time, you often get quite a higher chlorine level. Or no, the other way around. Sorry, summer higher, winter lower, because they adjust the dose rate based on the temperature of the water coming out. So when they're supplying water at, sorry, this is a bit of a boring Friday night conversation, but when they're providing water at about up towards 20 degrees Celsius, are sort of like you're getting towards bacterial growth sort of comfort zone. They increase the chlorine dose, and in the winter they drop it down a bit because temperature takes care of the bugs. So. But none of us, and I work in water treatment, and I don't change my carbon filters any more differently in the summer than I do in the winter. So
this is why because I got talking to Dong about it with the issues I was having a bit of issues in there and in the garage, and we were talking about it, weren't we, on text message for a couple of days, week or so. And when you think about it, though, if you do mix your own water at home, you've got an RO, you've got an RO machine, you make your own salt water. The cost of the pre-filters is the cheapest bit. The membranes and the resin is the most. That's where the expense comes in. So you can save yourself potentially a lot more money in the long run by, like Dong's saying. I mean, I've literally, I've said to myself, I'm changing them every month because I'm fortunate enough I can get them relatively cheap. And I just think in the long run, it's going to save you a whole hell of a, well, not just money, but a lot of potential hassle and headache with the tank. And it's almost like that conversation of water change, no water change. For me, it's like that mental sort of, well, you've done a water change, so you know everything is better than it was if you didn't do one sort of thing. So the point I'm trying to make is by changing them monthly or more regular, like Dong's saying, for minimal cost, you are going to, ideally, you're going to set yourself up in a much better position if you were going to try and leave it down to your TDS pen, which is what I've been doing, a lot of other people do.
I was just going to say, I relied on the TDS pen for years, and when I actually just sort of pulled my finger out and went, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it a good go. I've got an hour on machine. The tank just took off, and that was only in the last 12 months. And I just thought at that point, and properly maintaining that RO, checking my resin, having to change that every 4 weeks. But Don's just raised a good point. And you spoke about this, Tom, a couple of weeks ago. Like you said you were going to do it every month, and I said to you, in typical tight Yorkshireman fashion, can't afford that. But actually, it's going to save me money in the long run, not replacing that resin, which costs more for the bag.
Exactly, that's exactly what I want to talk about tonight. Because I just think for people watching at home that maybe buy it or have a go at doing it themselves, they are going to buy that pen, as I have for years upon years, and go,
the grey one,
zero, so we're all good, and that's not necessarily the truth, as Dong's rightly pointing out now, and it's everything that gets past that still reads a zero that you should be worried about. And for not a lot of money, you can reduce that, a lot, definitely.
And also, the carbon cartridge also capture many of the organic compound.
Yes.
Yeah, and also actually the RO membrane,
just like it does in a reef tank. Sorry, Dong.
Many of the organic small molecule can pass through your RO and not being picked up by your DI. Of course, the DI is not meant to do that. So all these small contaminants, organic molecule, just keep passing through. So the only cartridge that can capture them is your carbon cartridge. So that is basically is the first lines of defense, and also is the most effective way to get rid of all these organic, even molecule like pesticides or whatever, leaching.
So if you could, would you add another?
There you go.
Oh, yes, it's worth to have extra carbon unit. Actually, it's pretty common here. People have 2 carbon cartridge. Right after the cinnamon is carbon, and then go to the membranes, and then go to the DI.
Okay.
So you change your first carbon cartridge more often than the second one.
Yeah, and then put that one forward.
And some people actually use a Pentac. If your chloramine is in your tap water, you can check with your town's website. They're legally required, at least in US, to tell you what kind of treatment they use to treat the tap water. If they use chloramine, that means that you probably better to have a chloramine cartridge, which is here they call the Pentac cartridge, as one of them, and followed by a regular carbon cartridge to more effectively remove the chromium.
Mm.
Or if you use 2 carbon cartridge, I think you're pretty good shape. Plenty of people here do that.
In the UK, the 3 pre-filters, you've got a paper filter, you've got a sediment filter, you've got a carbon filter. So if somebody was going to, if they want to keep that housing, what would you change? Would you leave the sediment and the carbon in and maybe get rid of the paper filter?
So the sediment filter, they're all modular. You can just add 1 canister right after that. I also see
add an extra canister is what you're saying. Just add another one. You couldn't swap one out. What I'm saying is the carbon not more effective than the paper than the paper filter? Therefore, remove that and put another carbon in and have 2 carbon in the sediment filter. Is what I'm saying.
The paper, actually, sometimes I have doubt about this paper filter, the sediment filter. So many people open up the sediment filter. When they replace them, they see all this brown gunk on it, and the people were saying, this filter capture a lot of things. But many times those brown stuff on your sediment filter is actually bacteria growing on the filter instead of being filtered off the tap water. So that's why they're using 2 carbon filters. If your RODI unit, you have to sacrifice the one of the filter in the front, and then you can replace the sediment filter with a carbon cartridge. Then you get 2 carbon cartridge. And there is another solution, which is proposed, actually implemented by, I think, Bulk Resupply. Once upon a time, they were selling a big carbon canister at the end of your RODI. So after everything passes through your carbon, your membranes, your DI, and then there's a big giant canister filter filled with activated carbon at the end to capture whatever remaining. That works as well. And that actually is a simpler, actually inexpensive solution, because that in this big giant canister, you fill with the regular activated carbon instead of the cartridge. The loose activated carbon is a lot cheaper. So you basically have a big catch-all sitting at the back of your whole water pass to capture them all. And there is another solution. I'll
say that's really cost effective as well, because that final carbon cartridge will have a very, very long life on it, because it's taking out such little stuff. So
it's going to make your resin last even longer. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, potentially the carbon like Dong says will take out organics and things like that, whereas your DI resin takes out a different set of molecules. So they're 2 different things, aren't they?
But
and the DI is most expensive.
It is, but none of them take out silicates, do they not?
No.
Your carbon cartridge can potentially take some out.
Okay. So it's getting a bit technically, where do we stand on putting Rowaphos in an RO system? Because apparently Rowaphos is more effective at taking silicate out than it is, or silicates out than it is phosphate.
If you want to pump the Rowaphos in your RODI, you definitely can take out a lot of stuff. So all the heavy metal done, whatever that escaped the cartridge before.
Yeah.
I actually never see people do that here. But that's a good idea.
As far as I'm aware, it's more likely to bind silicate than it is before it binds phosphate, from memory.
Definitely. But here's the thing, though. The silicate is really not something you want to take out. Because your sponge,
your sponge.
Because your sponge are relying on it. So if you because unless you're dosing silicate, then there's no reason to take out silicate.
Because obviously there's arguments about the higher silicates giving diatom outbreaks and things like that. Nuisance algae can make use of it, so you don't want it to be out of control.
No.
But there is something that we're going to talk about a little bit later on about the silicate. The reason is that you probably have some diatom boom, but diatom is really not that harmful and is easy to take care. And there's a reason you want to keep some silicate in your water. So we can move on.
Just quickly before we do move on, Steph, you said you made a change recently, or a bit ago, and you noticed such a difference in your tank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what was it you'd done?
Just apply myself to making sure I checked my RO unit and regular ICP. So I was still getting, you said, Tom, a little grey pen, whatever it is off Amazon or eBay, Dunk 000. So an ICP test off. RO was coming back with, it's a score out of 100, 70. I'm going, what's going on here? I'm currently doing it at the minute, but luckily it's under control, the RO. It's just the tank and traces I'm trying to sort. So I just made sure I was changing the resin more than anything else, because that was the thing that I was finding, that I was just leaving thinking, I'll be ready, we'll sort it next month, it's fine, I've spent whatever it is it's cost. But actually now regularly changing that in line with what the ICP is telling me of exhaustion rate of it, I've just noticed in the last 12 months things have just took off. The corals are growing, I'm getting more heads popping up on the torches, I've got SPS basing out, and I've never really been a fan of SPS because I was always struggling to keep them. But it's this bucket here that's topping up the tank, however many litres a week, I think it's about 30-40 litres a week top up. That was polluting my system, even though I was doing everything else to prevent that. And then that's various different things, from starting off just going to any store, bouncing from whatever store I'm passing from and taking a couple of buckets from them, not checking, just going, 0, fine, that'll do. How can we be sure that what point I want to get is, like, I know how meticulous I've been with managing that system that I have in the garage. How can we be sure that someone else is doing that? We're going to give someone else the responsibility to do that. And we get so far in our reef tank, and then something just goes wrong, corals stall. That's what was happening. The tank was stalling, it was spiking, things were happening. So I was like, well, what's going on? And just got my head down, and I've just noticed a huge difference since I took ownership over that one task.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I know it's not practical for most people. There's a lot of, it's not ideal depending on your setup and a bit of cost about it. But I would definitely say in my reefing journey of how long it's been, it was a huge turning chapter for me. Was mixing my own water, being more in control of what was going in my tank was a win-win for me. And making mistakes, flooding the floor several times, leaving it on, going to bed, forgetting about it, turning the car around in a supermarket, going, shit, I've left the RO on. I've done all that. That's not part and parcel of it. But number one is you're in control of the quality of the water going in your tank. And I think that's really important.
If you are worried about the quality of the RODI from your LFS or wherever you buy it from, one tip I would give you is have a look at the setup in the shop. If they've got a separate RO channel for selling than what they use themselves, be wary. If it's the same supply they use for their own tanks, you're probably okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Good. Right, moving on, gentlemen.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
we already covered that, so to move on to the next step. Okay. Now, after we talk about the source water, and now we talk about what's in here. So here is one single drop of seawater magnified by 25 times. If you talk about clean, I don't think the word clean shouldn't be applied to what's in here. It's a soup of dirty water, a soup of living bacteria. That is actually what's supporting all the life inside a captive reef tank. There's a comment I just saw that the local fish store is 56 TDS.
That's crazy.
Okay, yeah, if the local fish store have a 56 TDS, TDS is like this. If you have 0 TDS, it doesn't mean it's good. But if it's not 0 TDS, it means it's definitely not good. Sort of way. Sort of.
Yeah, I was expecting a dog response of dog shit. But anyway,
but this is very true. Yeah, if it happen here all the time. So people say, well, yeah, they bring a TDS meter pen with them and go to the local fish store and put it into that RODI water. You give some number, this ungodly number. Of course, they won't buy it. That's what it is.
Can I just say something else though before we talk about this? Your pipe work, the container all those surface areas are also going to have impact on that TDS reading, aren't they?
Yes, they
Yeah,
do.
so like,
always.
so one thing I was
Well,
finding is using a bucket that I'd put salt water in, even though I drained the bucket, and I'm talking drops in there, and I'm getting TDS.
Yes,
and
you got the reading.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about that TDS because I know what it is. It's from the salt. But like, I were away and she went to garage to get some water for her tank, and she went, "Oh no, I can't put this one in. It's got." I said, "It's not. It's just a bit of salt residue that's been left in the bucket."
Because you make the water, you know what it is. But when you're buying something, you have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so go back to the seawater. So let's go to the next slide. This slide is scary enough. Marine microbes. So basically, the take-home message is that whatever in this tank is absolutely so dirty, so filled with microbial life, is not suitable to drink. So it's much better to drink some beer. So
We've all drunk some tank water.
Oh, tank water. Oh, my iced tea. Okay. So it's
just whiskey in it. Just whiskey.
A few million bacteria in a 1 ml of seawater is pretty standard. That tells you there really no such thing as a low nutrient reef, right? If a coral can survive and thriving in any reef tank, there is no such thing as a low nutrient reef. Let alone the ultra low nutrient. Ultra low nutrient reef tank only means that ultra low in phosphate and nitrate that is hardly detected by the hobby grade test kit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No matter how
so
clean
what you're saying is there's food still available, is what you're saying. Sorry, there's still food available.
Everything is just capsulated. It's just not available for the hobby grade test kit to test. But the water in our tank, if the coral are doing great, is absolutely filthy dirty. And that's say you cut your hand, it's much better to put a band-aid on, put some antibiotic ornament on the wound, let it heal before you put your hand in the water. And now come to the important thing is that all this microbe actually is supporting the whole food web in the reef tank. So the idea is that the salt water, before you mix with salt, you try to eliminate as much of the impurity as possible. Once you go into a reef tank, you actually want your water to be dirty, filled with microbials, filled with the food web for the coral to munch on.
Okay.
And right now, the one important thing about iron become very important because the iron is the foundation trace element for all these tiny little bugs flying and supporting your reef tank.
Sorry, Don, what was that again? The iron? Yeah. You said about the iron?
Iron as a trace element, that is the fundamental trace element that's supporting your whole living little microbe.
So system. Are you saying if the iron's not right, everything else that you're adding into the tank isn't going to be taken up?
Yes, that means that you got to have
the key that unlocks the door for everything else, right?
Yeah, it's the iron. So if you have only one trace element to those, iron is the most important part. So go to the next slide.
Before we do, sorry, Don, can I just ask, what's your take on natural seawater? So there's a few people in the comments talking about this. So see people talking about natural seawater.
Okay.
I mean, natural seawater is probably dirty than what we make more. Yeah. What do you think? What's your take?
Yeah.
Natural seawater.
Excellent context. For context, Dong.
Yep.
Natural seawater from where you are. So we're in the UK where the water's 4 or 5 degrees, and then we're bringing it in and heating it up to to tank temperature. So any microbiome that's in that water surely is going to become null and void, right?
Yeah. So there are several types of the. So that's a very good point to brought up. You just brought up a very good point about this. So in a fish store, there are several types of natural seawater, so-called natural seawater. The most common one are the boxed natural seawater, the one you already boxed in with a fancy logo on it, like the Nutri seawater in US, or Petco carry its own seawater, and those are absolute piece of something, okay? Human excrement. So the reason for that is that those seawater has been treated to eliminate all the living organisms. That's why they don't spoil inside that little carton. So, for example, one of the Nutri seawater in US, at least we sell here, they claim to have all this beneficial bacteria inside. That is a gigantic lie. Experiment has been done on that. Very simple. They look inside, nothing alive, nothing that beneficial inside those boxes of seawater. So that is one important thing. And thing is that if the natural seawater come in a box, it's much better for melting the ice in the snow. In the winter, melting the snow in the winter. That's what you're good for. Absolutely not worth paying for that money. If the seawater come in a sealed box. There's a second type of seawater. It's a locally collected seawater. And now that is highly depends on where you collect it. So, for example, I live in Boston area. Locally collected seawater is Atlantic cold water seawater. It's absolutely not suitable for Pacific tropical reef because the bacterial, the composition is not compatible with the warm water. So you can get your coral and fish sick by using the seawater right here. If I collect seawater from the Boston Harbor, those water are not suitable for coral reef at all because they're cold water seawater. So that is not suitable. So if the seawater is collected in California, for example, like Richard Ross, reef beef, and he actually used delivered seawater for his reef tank, all natural seawater, in his secret home lab. So yeah, somebody would drive up in this 300-gallon water truck and fill his reservoir with natural seawater. Because he's in California. California, the warm Pacific water, they have the suitable amount, the so-called right amount, right type of microbe. So that can be used as a natural seawater. Yeah.
But then you've still got to be careful of any industrial pollutants and that sort of stuff if you don't collect it right, far enough out, deep enough, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, E. coli and stuff like that, I imagine.
Basically, using natural seawater is really risky. Unless you're in Australia, that's a different story. Many Australian reefer, they just collect the natural seawater. There even the stores they have this service to deliver and sell natural seawater in Australia. That's perfectly fine. There's an entirely different story. But if we are living in a cold climate zone, the seawaters, the microbial composition are different. You can get our coral sick, or they just simply just die. All this whatever microbial that come with the natural seawater will die in a reef tank at this elevated temperature.
Yeah.
So you just generate more waste. So the easiest and safest way to generate waters for our tank, I just saltwater mix.
The thing that I've always felt though with natural seawater is because it's not elevated, because it's not synthetic, your traces are always going to be on point. So you're always going to be depleting because you uptake. Oh, I'm wrong.
That's not true at all. For the trace element profile, it varies dramatically, even from one side of the reef to the other side. And the trace element profile at the collection point for this so-called natural seawater, they sold in the store, is probably thousands of miles away from where your coral was collected. The trace element profile is just so dramatically different, even in the same local reef area.
What changes that?
Yeah,
What-
so
what-
I'm
what-
talking about. Sorry, Steph. I'm talking about natural seawater in a barrel versus synthetic salt mixed. What I'm saying is the synthetic salt mix will have elevated trace elements compared to the natural seawater. Would you not agree, or do you think differently?
Oh yes, I agree. So because all the
That's what I'm
synthetic
saying.
salt definitely have elevated amount
Yes.
of trace element than any of the natural seawater.
If you have a heavy, what the point I'm making is, if you have a tank that's got a lot of corals in it and there's a lot of uptake of these trace elements and you're using natural seawater, you will have to replace a lot more often
Yes.
than if you were using synthetic salt. That's what I'm saying, because it's not elevated.
Yes, that's absolutely true. So that is why that in Australia for the coral farm there, they use natural seawater, but the natural seawater is plumbing in constantly.
Yes,
and
it's constant supply.
getting
So
up
that there's,
constantly, constant
yeah,
supply.
yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that just like you said, Tom, the synthetic sea salt has elevated trace element because that this is a closed system. So
Yes.
it basically deplete, bump up, deplete, and bump up. That's why water change is very important, as well as that. Because it's a closed system. Yeah. Okay, let's go the next slide. So this sole purpose of the slide is to make your head spin with all these unnecessary scientific terms.
Jamie, I hope you take this in. There is a test at the end of it, and you might get a badge. Is all I'm saying.
I've been doing that. I've been proper taking it in. Might as well give up, Jamie. I've got this.
Oh, okay. I'll leave it to Steph now. I'll leave it to Steph.
So
No.
so basically, it tells you it's a really complex environment about this marine microbial that in the tank, and it's not a simple way to control them, or if there's any way to control them or not. So basically, it's so complex we cannot duplicate it. We, at this stage of the hobby, we have no power to play God to control our microbial environment in our reef tank. As simple as that. So any product sold on the market telling you that they can let you to control what kind of microbial environment in your tank, it's just advertisement and marketing. There's no way to do that because it's such a complex purpose. So that means that, we have a tank full of bacterial soap. It's absolutely not clean. And we have no way to control what the heck is inside. So that boils down to this hobby is an art. And as an art, we change water. That's why water change becomes so important. Okay, next, move on. So here is a concept. When people talk about nutrient in our tank, it all boils down to the beginning of the term ultra low nutrient method. I call them bullshit. Absolutely doesn't make any scientific sense. Okay. So also the word nutrient itself is not really representing what's in our tank. There's so many organic and inorganic carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, and iron, and plus gazillion of whatever trace element in there. So there's a two class of chemical, organic or inorganic, in our tank. One that can be utilized by the living organism, such as a coral, a fish, etc., sponge, cocopod. Those called nutrient. The other type of chemical are doing the opposite effect. That harmful, damaging. Even they also contain carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, those kind of things, but they are not doing a favor for our coral and fish. Those called pollutants, the pollution, not nutrients. So nutrient is the chemical that can benefit our coral, and the rest of them actually are pollution. So we have to have the concept of the two types of thing. Of course, there's three types of people in this world, according to some movie, but there are two types of things in our tank: nutrient and pollution. Let's move on. Okay, then we just saw that previously. All this nutrient and pollution, they always have composed of what? Carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, oxygen, hydrogen, a bunch of things. Then here this refill ratio has been throwing around on the internet. Everybody talk about a refill ratio.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I put this slide here. So screw refill ratio. It's not relevant. But there have some important thing.
Didn't this come from somebody measuring? Oh God, this came from
Phytoplankton.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, phytoplankton.
The numbers do exist. There is a correlation, but in our captive environments, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah. So, but one thing people fail to mention most of the time about this refill ratio is the first thing on this slide: carbon. People always talk about, oh, what's my nitrogen and phosphorus ratio, blah, blah, blah. But the true refill ratio has 4 components in it. First thing, carbon. Where did that come from? Because that actually is a very important thing. The carbon. And the last one is iron. If you just take the middle two, 16:1 nitrogen and phosphorus ratio, it's absolutely useless way to do things. Yeah. So we have, okay. Now, then another point is that coral nutrient uptake does not follow refill ratio. Those are scientific, whatever the citation and a very small print, just like the contract you sign away in a car dealership. In very small print, if you prefer, you can read it. Otherwise, it's not important. Just a very simple way is coral nutrient uptake do not follow refill ratio. Just screw refill ratio. Don't even need to worry about it. And when people talk about refill ratio, you tell them, where's the carbon? Where's the iron? Are you care about that? Can you measure the carbon? You can't. Then why are you talking about refill ratio? Totally useless, right? So let's move on. Yeah.
Steph, that illustration, is that what we look like when you take the hat off in the morning, maybe?
I have no idea what that thing is. It just looks cute. Yeah. It's Friday. Okay. And now the thing is that how clean is our water? Now we have to think about this way. 90% or 99% of stuff in our tank has no test kit for it. And all these test kit right there, test. We're testing a small percentage of things that have test kit on it. Think about it this way. All the test kit tell you something, but this test kit does not tell you a full picture of the health of your reef tank. No. It sounds like a doomsday scenario. Then what can we do? Go back to the original point. This is a hobby. This is an art. Look at your coral. Your coral, how the coral behave is more important than all this freaking test kit you can throw at them. And many times, well, because I have so many customers, I can tell you 99% of chance when a problem happens, the customer always said, all my parameters are perfectly fine. Here's the result. And here's the latest ICP test. Yes, that happens all the time. That tells you one thing. All these tests doesn't tell you the answer if something, when your coral are sick or not happening. But on the other hand, these tests help you to maintain working toward a good environment. Test kit are important. Even though this test kit only let us know about this tiny amount of information about reef tank, is still much better than we don't know
nothing. It's an indication.
Yeah. It's an indication. Yeah. It's an indication. But don't rely totally on the test kit. This is a hobby and is an art. And we should truly trust ourselves. Trust the force. Luke, turn off your computer. Then they just like they said, well, where's the whole of that freaking Death Star? Turn off your apex, Luke. Trust the force. Turn off your apex. Yeah. And actually, these days, the more and more example about the apex tell you the wrong story.
Brilliant. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, there's another reason to turn off your Apex, turn off your Trident, turn off your automated tester, or test them with a solid for test kit to verify them once in a while.
Correct.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So okay, next.
The other variable. Sorry, Don. The other variable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that we all use those same test kits, but
Mhm.
probably every person in this chat, they run their tank at different parameters, and they all look bloody good.
I was going to say that, Jeremy.
There's no right number to get to. Like some of the best tanks I've seen have nitrate levels of 50 to 80 ppm, which we say really high, but bollocks, if it works, right?
I said no one ever lost a coral from a number, but they definitely lost it from a swing. That's the problem. People look at the number this week, it's but actually it's the swinging. And just a comment on the Apex, Don, though, and what you were saying, because we can't test for everything. Like everyone holds, I don't know, Hannah as the holy grail for whatever phosphate test. So let's go to the MP. But actually, if you're testing with the same test kit every week, as long as it's in its own respective range,
trends, don't you?
Reasonable.
You know where you are.
You're fine.
Yeah, it's if then. Yeah. Oh well, actually, this Hannah Chucker says it should be this, but it doesn't matter as long as you're in a range that you know you're in. You're tracking the number.
Yes, as long as they're in range, you will feel much more comfortable, and you'll be more successful in this hobby when they're in range. That is why all these tests does not replace water change, because the majority of the pollution, not the nutrient, the pollution are not testable.
And the solution to pollution is
dilution.
There you go. There you go.
And water change is the king of all the maintaining.
I'm not going to go too off topic much here, but I don't actually think there's any harm in having some swings in certain parameters. I actually think it hardens certain corals from experience. I'm not saying dramatic ones, but I think there is some fluctuations in the ocean.
Swings in what?
In the ocean, anyway.
That fluctuation within range is okay.
Salinity within certain ranges, just not night and day. I think it hardens stuff. I generally do. That's why in my opinion, again, for what it's worth, not much. That's why most frags coming out of another tank tend to do better than when they come, as in that have been imported, because they've gone through various cycles, various swings, and they've come out the other end and they still survive. So when you get it,
they're battle hardened.
As opposed to a clinic, as opposed to like a clinical environment.
Yes, the microbiome for a start is there.
Immune system. The immune system.
Yeah, the immune system, very important.
It's had to fight its way in whatever you've done to your tank, water, whatever it came from. It's had to survive, and it's found its way to survive. Evolution, on a fragment.
Yes.
That's it sounds.
Adaptation. Adaptation.
Yeah. Correct. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's why I would always take a frag out of an obvious tank if I could.
So the water change is probably the best weapon for us available to our reefers. So this image is stolen from Reef to Reef. Whoever have this copyright of this image, just don't sue me. You publish it, it is fair use. So the white bucket test actually is quite effective.
This came up this weekend, didn't it? This?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. This came up at the weekend about taking your tank water out of and if you've got yellow in the bucket, there's a good chance that water's not very good.
I think
do the water change.
You probably pissed in it, and you do need a water change. Anyway.
I think this is what Salem's mission is, isn't it? It goes. Salem's massively keen on dissolved organic carbon and testing for carbon and stuff, but the easiest way to do it at home, because there's no off-the-shelf test kit for it, is the yellow bucket test. If you've got yellowy tinge, you've got dissolved carbon in the tank, right? So that's the easiest.
Not necessarily. No. Actually, can we go back to the bucket?
Of course. Apologize.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the yellowing compound are not actually responsible. Carbon, actually, as a chemist, so the coloring, the yellowing actually is more related to nitrogen.
Yeah, so it's organic stuff, though, isn't it?
Yeah, organic stuff with the some nitrogen containing compound. The most the yellowing is coming from that. So for a matter of fact, the DOC probably is not directly related to the how yellow your water is, because that shouldn't be correlated, because a DOC dissolve organic carbon. So even you have very low DOC, you have some highly colored nitrogen containing compound can significantly make your water become yellow. But here is an interesting thing. If you bubble ozone in this yellow bucket of water and the yellow remains, yeah, that probably you have more confidence that you probably have more DOC. Because what ozone does is to oxidize those nitrogen containing compound to be clear, to be colorless compound.
Yeah.
But when you see the water is yellow, let's do water change. It solves all the problem, most the problem, including the DOC or the pollution, any nitrogen containing color compound. So
Yeah.
okay, sorry about that. Let's go to the next slide. And
I'm just looking in the comments though. There's quite a bit of debate about water change is not a solution. Water changes are a win, in my honest opinion. King of Swing is a water change. People put tequila in, apparently, their fish tank. Tequila is the secret sauce.
That's carbon dosing.
Carbon dosing, yes. That the vodka dosing. Yes. Sorry. Right, moving on. There you go.
So when the water is too clean, so I don't know if you guys have this thing in UK called a sea analysis machine. It's a dialysis.
Yeah.
It's a dialysis machine for reef tank.
Wow.
$3,000 something. It's a valid company, still operating today. It has been running that for maybe like 2 decades, because one of my friend, he used to have one of these. The idea is that they do a dialysis machine for your water, for your tank water, supposedly to keep your coral well. So whoever running this company, please file for bankruptcy immediately, because this freaking thing is actually killing our coral. It's an absolutely wrong concept about how to keep a reef tank. These things, you can still buy this. And some
so it's like an RO machine for your reef tank, basically. You put
it is online machine, basically doing dialysis for your seawater 24/7 every second. Yeah, it's stripping everything out. Because it's speechless by looking at this thing, and it's still selling. And people are still buying them. So just in case anybody over there, please do not buy this kind of thing.
Oh, 3.2. Bloody heck.
Yeah, $3,200. Yeah, and then plus that, you're going to spend a lot of money changing the cartridge, the proprietary cartridge they're going to sell you. So if you see this thing, run. Okay, so just a side note. Bad DOC. Bad DOC. Oh my God. This is what we heard all the time this time.
Wow.
When people mention DOC, it's just like, oh my God, DOC coming my way. Okay. So, but what exactly is DOC? Now we need to look at it. DOC simply means dissolved organic carbon. Oh, remember the refuel ratio?
Yes.
That we mentioned? What's the first thing? It's carbon.
It's the highest number.
Highest number. And guess what? That those carbon coming from? Dissolved organic carbon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So some DOC is bad, but some DOC is not bad at all. That's a nutrient source.
So is it like the old classic? Like, it's too much of a good thing is bad.
Yeah,
you've got to have a bit of it.
Yes, that's true. Too much a good thing is bad, but some of the DOC are inherently bad. Those DOC are normally excreted by macroalgae. That is one of the attention being paid most about bad DOC is coming from macroalgae. Those DOC are synthetically purposely made by macroalgae to target your coral, to weaken the coral, kill the coral, so they can take over the space. That is the bad DOC. That is the reason I do not run refugium anymore. For many years, I take out all the macroalgae as much as possible out of my system. It achieved two things. One thing is that my coral looks much better. Second thing, reduce the addition of trace element, because your macroalgae is a primary competitor for trace element for your coral.
Yeah.
Yep. And you
So
do not need.
You wouldn't run. So
Go
you
ahead.
wouldn't recommend running a refugium? No.
I
just
won't
said no?
recommend it. I don't do it myself either.
Interesting.
Because a lot of trace element dosing, the trace element is mostly consumed by the macroalgae. So you're basically growing macroalgae and let them to compete with the coral, especially the macroalgae are much more effective in competing for all the essential nutrients for your
back to
with your coral.
The whole argument. There's many ways to reef, isn't there? Some people will run a refugium for nutrient export, phosphates, nitrates, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
works really well. And obviously, a bigger refugium for putting pods and stuff back in works really well. There's pros and cons to all of this stuff. Then you've got the chemical warfare side of it and the chemical uptake side of it, and you know.
Mo asked a question about what about Trident?
Yes,
Trident. I think if you do not use the refugium part of Trident, you are just fine, or even better result than not using the refugium part. Because refugium, first of all, is really not that effective to taking out nutrient, unless your refugium is pretty gigantic. And I think Sanjay used to did a experiment about how much macroalgae can take out from the water.
Is it a lot of it to do with the surface area though, as well, of the refugium, as in the coverage of it? I'm sure.
I think it's the amount of macroalgae mass in the refugium. Yes. In order to take out, to play an important role, take sufficient amount of phosphate and nitrate coming out from the water.
Which is where people started to tumble it, isn't it? As opposed to having it just sat.
I think when people start tumbling, is allow the ball of Chaeto to receive light from all over.
Correct. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Because from memory, it was just you're covering a small area. That
so increase the growth of that ball.
Yes.
So that theoretically can increase the uptake of nitrogen and phosphate. But when you have a very robust reef, your nitrogen actually become a limiting factor. For example, like mine, I have those things like fish sauce and to get my nitrate up. My nitrate always drop to the bottom. Boom. So think about it this way: all the coral themselves are very good refugium to begin with. Adding macroalgae only creating a competitor for the growth of the coral in terms of essential nutrient as well as trace element. You are creating a competitor for your coral. And also this competitor will release biologically engineered by themselves bad DOC to suppress your coral growth.
Could you counteract that by running some activated carbon, though, to mop up any of those?
Activated carbon, you do not know how effective they are. If you're dropping a bag every day, probably is effective. And also another thing is that the activated carbon to capture, but some of it highly depends on the molecule, what type of molecule the DOC is. The affinity to activated carbon actually is different. So so activated carbon is not an absolutely sure way to reduce this bioweapon DOC. Why not generate them at the first place?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Eliminate them from the root cause. For example, there is an experiment. Actually, you can find the experiment on YouTube demonstrating this thing. Basically, put it simple, it's a tank with a divider in the middle. The divider is a membrane, will allow the DOC to go through, or small molecule they call, to go through the membrane. but not allow the bacteria to go through. One side has macroalgae, the other side has aquapora or whatever. If I remember correctly, is aquapora. So at the beginning, the harmful bacteria on the coral side is very low. And then the macroalgae will excrete the DOC, bioengineered DOC, to increase the bad bacterial population on the macroalgae side. And also this DOC can travel through the membrane, go to the aquapora side. Then they can see this DOC released by the macroalgae stimulate the coral side, the bacteria start to multiply dramatically to kill the coral. Simple, effective experiment that demonstrated this theory. That was done about more than 10 years ago.
Well, I've got to say, you've created a hell of a debate in the comments section regarding refugiums. It almost feels like I've started the whole debate about water change, no water change.
And actually, for the water change and no water change is that our technology today, and right at this moment, at 5:17 p.m. in Boston time, we do not have the technology to eliminate water change, period. No matter how your godfather or your cow leader tell you so, we do not have the technology to eliminate water change. Because water change is the primary method to remove DOC. Death Star, yes. And also, trust the force, Luke. Trust the force. I'm your father. That kind of thing, right? So, Austin Powers, I'm your fascia. You know the fascia. Luke, drop the apex, Luke. Stop dosing. Okay, let's move on. Okay. However, there's a good DOC that is a significantly uptake by coral. Let alone those DOC are the nutrients food source for all these centers helper, those microbials that can make all the living organism, the whole system to thrive. So, yes, the force is wrong with me. Where's my lightsaber? So, also, research show the DOC uptake, not only the supplemental carbon source for coral, they also increase the resilience of stress. And also is part of the coral's carbon budget. So just like when we talk about nutrients are two things. So the beneficial one and the garbage. DOC also is not just one thing. There's many, many kind of stuff. The beneficial one, the not beneficial one, the bioengineer chemical weapon engineered by the macroalgae to take over your reef tank. So yeah. So when we look at DOC, it's not one size fits all. There's so many different things in there.
This is something we're going to be covering over and over again, I think, over the next couple of months. This is now the new kid on the block in it, DOC.
This is new kid on the block. And there's a good kid and a bad kid.
Okay.
Yep. There's a kid with a switchblade. There's a kid that help you clean the snow off your driveway. So I also put the scientific literature. Just go look it up. If you, as a scientist, I always want to cite the reference where you come from. If I come here tell you bad DOC, I will give you the reference. Why is bad?
Daft down.
Why am I have to be the bad side, right? The dark side. I can be the Yoda. Remember?
Oh dear.
The good side, the force. The good side.
Dark side.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, now we talk about go back to the original question about silicate.
Sorry to put in. This is the best one. Dong Skywalker.
I need to go make my lightsaber. I'll be right back in 2 hours, okay?
Sponges.
So, okay. Now we're going back to talk about the silicate. Sponge is one of the solution for the DOC. Here is a paper published at 2017 at the scientific literature there. You can feel free to dig it up if you want more tell story. Sponge is your center's helper. Is a friend. Sponge a friend, not food, not enemy. Sponge. But in order to have a robust sponge colony, you need silicate. So even you at the beginning, you have a little bit diatom or quite a bit of diatom on your sandbed. You have to think about this way. In the future, this silicate is going to be utilized by my sponge for growing a sponge forest.
Right.
I will take a few weeks of diatom for the benefit to have a large sponge colony. Sponge is the really good stuff. If you look at your sum, if you have lots of sponge, congratulations. You just one giant step toward a healthy ecosystem on your little reef tank in your home.
I sent you a picture the other week. I sent you a picture not so long ago, didn't I? About the little orange.
Those are ball sponge. Good stuff.
What? Sorry.
They call ball sponge. They look like little
Ball
balls.
sponge. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Never
Good
seen
stuff.
before.
Good stuff.
Yeah, never seen before. Mad.
For matter of fact, people pay money for those.
Ah, okay. Yeah. No, I'm fetching.
Remember Steve Tyree? Steve Tyree used to sell sponge harvest from his cryptic zone.
Right. Okay.
And these days, I have a lot of sponge in my sump, in my live rock tank. So when a new hobbyist come over, start a new tank, I give them those sponge. It's a big helper. If you
should do that at Halloween when they knock on the door, trick or treating. Give them some sponges. That'd be entertaining.
I think that I will have a many toilet paper on my front yard. Hey kid, sponge. Hey, eat it, kid. Eat it. It's sponge. Then they will say, I ain't keeping a reef tank, man.
So just on the subject of sumps briefly, I'm conscious of time as well. Thanks for the 70 odd of you that stayed with us throughout this 2.5 hour show with Don. Where do you stand in terms of cleaning a sump? What's your thoughts on that? Just kind of while we're touching on that, is it
good question, Tom.
you recommend, or do you leave it to ferment, kind of thing?
Let me just give you my example.
Okay.
I cannot speak for anybody else. I haven't cleaned this freaking sump for 15 years.
Amen.
And it's filled with sponge. Yeah, I call it self-cleaning.
Yeah. I have the same with, I mean, my tank now says only like 2.5, getting on to nearly 3 year mark now, and I have a lot of turnover of water, so there's a lot of flow going through it. So I don't really get that much of detritus build-up, but I think a dirtier sump is better, because I just think you get all the critters, the microfauna, and just everything that feeds the top tank. Because if you think about it, everything in the top tank is trying to eat everything else that's in there. If it's in the bottom tank, it can flourish, it can grow, it can go through your return pump, whatever else, and it feeds the top tank.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, that is the original refugium was referring to.
Yeah.
It's not the freaking macroalgae that bioengineer chemical weapon. It's the sponge and detritus and the place for all these little critters to grow. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't clean my sump. I just let it ferment. It's just like a single malt scotch that aged for 15 years. The older, the better.
Kenny Linnett, Boater, Piece of the Ocean. I can remember the video he did where I had him on probably last year or early on this year when he put his finger in the detritus, and he said he'd never cleaned that sump out in however many years they've been there. Yeah.
There is a scientific literature talk about sponge, because there's have been a very long time when scientists are studying the coral reef. One thing they cannot resolve is where all the phosphor goes.
Right.
Yep, they know where at nitrogen cycle, but where all the phosphorus goes. This paper was talking about the sponge actually is primarily responsible for taking up all the phosphorus.
Right.
So your
Yeah.
sponge is your friend. So you don't
So
stick
by
vacuum
making your sump clean, you're actually making it harder to stay clean in a sense.
Yes. So
In a
you're basically
biological
invading the
sense.
sponge home and disturb them.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yep. So sometimes that the right kind of laziness. Okay. Now we go back to this. Just go do your freaking water change. I stole this image from Reef Breeder, and that is before Jake Adams. So yeah, I think that the patent copyright for this image is long expired. So the overall best message to manage DOC in your reef tank: do your freaking water change. That is the best method to do it, alongside with your sponge. Of course, that shirt looks quite weird.
Dong, how much
Yeah.
percent and how often then? If you're going to tell us what to do.
Mhm. Okay, perfect question. This is what I'm going to talk about. So one of the main criticism about water change is that if I change 10% of water, only reduce things by 10%, the 90% is there. Let me give you this answer. I talk about the things about the nutrient and the pollution, right? Pollution normally is composed of all these small molecule, whatever compound. They need to reach a certain concentration before they can have the negative effect. That means that they have accumulate, reach a certain concentration, and then bad thing happen. You change 10%, you drop the level down below the threshold. And then you accumulate up again, you drop 10%, even 10% can make a huge difference. That's how it works.
So going back to
you're not
Seth's analogy,
eliminating. Yeah, you are not
so
eliminating the best stuff.
the dilution conversation again. Basically.
Yes, it's exactly because any bad stuff they need to accumulate to certain concentration, like a chemical. If you do not have to eliminate it, all you need to do is keep it under the level that you can do bad stuff.
Keep it in control. Yeah.
Keep it in control. Exactly. Doing 10% water change, you are keeping many things in control. You do not have to do the 90%. You just 10% is have significant effect. Can make the reef tank healthy.
Keep the tank in its happy place, Don.
Yep. Even 5% can make a difference. 10% can make a difference. So ideally, I change 10% water every week. If I feel generous, I change 20%. If I'm so lazy, I change 5%. It doesn't have to be a religion. You just do something better than doing nothing. When you feel energetic, you just have several cases of Red Bull.
Well, one thing that Rob has said to me before, aka Pelagic, when we used to be on the podcast, is that he said you can survive in an aeroplane in recirculated air-conditioned air. You know, you can survive. But the difference when you step off that plane and breathe in fresh air, it's just completely different. And I think that for me, it's like, and another one is when people say, you know, it's like having living in a bath, and not, you're going to want to change the water, because otherwise the bath is going to come up with, obviously you're not going to too graphic, dirt or whatever you want to call it. You're going to want fresh water. So there's a few different analogies, but I definitely think that for me, the recirculated air on an aeroplane definitely strikes a chord because, yeah, you can survive, but it's the survive or is it thrive analogy to me a little bit. And that's why I've always sort of been a little bit more sort of pro water change. But anyway, next slide. Is there another one? There we go.
So other methods to manage DOC, first of all, skimmer. It's a very good way to do it. And we can see the Lake J. Adams face there. So he's a great man. Absolutely great man. So just I was really upset when he passed. So manage DOC skimmer. We talked about skimmer last episode. So yeah, keep it. The skimmer is your friend for keeping DOC. Activated carbon, effective but quite expensive.
Yeah.
To manage DOC. And there's another thing called a polyfilter. The polyfilter is not a polymer filter. There's so many knockoff out there that are made by regular polymers. The polyfilter is something different. It's a chemical filter. That's a freaking filter that used for clean the blood for blood transplant. So it's not the regular file. So that polyfilter actually is very good at manage some of the DOC. But all this method cannot compare to water change. That's the best method.
There's some significant controversy in the comment section, Dom, in what we're talking about with water changes.
Okay.
Alicia's saying, I do a lot of things to my tank, but water change is not one of them. Imran, he's got an amazing SPS tank. Water change is just like a new car every week. Pointless.
So if water change can get me, it's like a new car every week, I'll be really happy. My car is old.
Yeah. It was if you fancy
actually, water change. Yeah, water change is more like you spray your car with new car smell every week.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is that if your force is strong with you, do some water change. If you're so sick and tired, and you're all the animals are still alive, you can sit back, relax. One example is that one guy told me that he never do a water change for several years, and his coral is really great. I go to his house and look at his coral. Yes, his green slimer is very good. Gigantic. His posing zinnia is really good, occupying all the space. But I asked him, where's your Walt Disney? Dead. Where's your Rainbow Tennis? Dead. So, yes, without water change, you can keep a reef tank, but you probably have less success than the other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably you're spending more money.
I just think these are good debates to have, though, because like what success is different for different people, isn't it?
Yes, so yes, that's true.
That's what I like about it. If there was a book that I could buy, even I've got a load of reefing books, and they all tell me different methods. If there was one book that said this is how you do it, and this is the only way, I'd be bored.
There's no only way.
Yeah, and that's Jamie. That's a really good point. And to be fair to Yazan, it kind of touched on it a little bit. That sort of commitment. Assuming your water source and your RO unit is robust. A lot of people ruin their tanks with water change. Not changing your filters and DI resins. It's a commitment to keep up with your RO unit. Keep the water going in clean. Couldn't agree more.
Yes, because that you're doing water change with bad water. That is not called water change.
So
that's called self-sabotage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could be making it worse. Yeah.
Yes. For matter of fact, many times that's what people observe, and they say, "Oh no, the water change actually ruined my tank." That is because that's what happened because the source water is bad. Let me give you one example. One guy, after he did his water change, his whole reef tank melted. Everything died. He said, "Oh my God, this is a dramatic experience about how bad water change is." Well, it turns out he had one of this. This is called a Corallia pump, also known as the cheapest AC pump ever. That piece of crap. That thing has one nasty habit. It busts open and leak all the heavy metal in the bucket or the reef tank. What happened to that guy? He's using one of these, mixing his water, and the motor busts open. So basically make all the new bucket, new salt water toxic. He used that water, changed his reef tank's water, whole tank melted. That is why. So this is one example is that can kill your reef tank by water change is because you are changing your water with bad water.
Yeah.
And the side note, don't buy any of this. No matter how attractive, how much sell on it, and how inexpensive it, not worth the risk. Toss it out. That's what I learned. So I see so many of this brand, this style fell over the year. So yeah, just a side note.
I didn't know they were still available. That's like,
Okay.
I've not seen a Coralia
So-
for like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
They're the one.
Basically,
they're the
you're
one with
playing
like
with
the
fire for 10, 15 years.
They've got like an eye socket, so they've got a
Yeah,
ball,
that's it. Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
eye socket sort of thing. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, Don.
Yeah.
Next
Okay. This is our last slide. What is not effective to manage DOC? UV sterilizer. Then people say, "Wow, you turn my water clear. You reduce the water. You reduce the color. You only oxidize those color compound. It does not remove it from your system."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That go back to the idea: a clear water that succeeds that pass the white bucket test does not mean it's low on DOC at all. You can use a UV sterilizer or the ozone generator on the right next to it. They simply oxidize color compound to make them less colorful, but it does not actually remove this harmful compound off the water. They just make them invisible. So UV sterilizer, ozone are not a way to make your water cleaner. That's the message. These two methods does not make your water cleaner. They only make your water less colorful. That's the thing. It does not remove anything. It just change the oxidation stage of a compound to a state that has less color. So that is something to think about. If you use UV sterilizer and ozone, thinking about to make your water to pass your yellow bucket to remove DOC, no, it does not remove any DOC at all. It just make your reef tank look prettier.
Clearer, not cleaner.
Clear, not cleaner. Exactly.
Yeah.
Clear, but not cleaner. That sums it up. Very good way to. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm running out of slides. Thank you.
Hats off, Don. Hats off, Don. Take a bow. There was a comment. I'm going to miss it now. We're back on the Star Wars theme. I think it was quite Don. I can't remember. Anyway, moving on. Yes, it was
another Star Wars reference.
That was a Star Wars reference.
I think that guy with that name got killed, right?
Yes. Don, I had one of normal. He's far from normal. He's from Wales. One of our friendly reefers sent a picture of his tank in, and his question to you. Sorry, I couldn't put it on a different screen. Can you ask Don a question for me? Where are we? What was it now? So I have 4 Vortex on the same pane of glass as the weir, as I have no sand. I still have detritus in the water column. So now I've taken the MP60 and I've got an MP60 and the other 3 are now MP40s and put it on the opposite end of the tank to blow the detritus towards the weir. Is there anything else he can recommend to keep the water clear? I use a roller mat. Just need to get the detritus into the weir.
Okay, so I can see from the photo that you have your MP40 or MP60 at the bottom of the tank. Try to clear the bottom out of detritus.
Yeah.
If you do not have a standing wave, the detritus that stuck on the coral or trapped on the rock, they won't get removed.
So you're basically blowing it into something rather than removing it. Yeah.
Exactly, because you want the detritus to dislodge from all the holes and coral and floating on top, and then you eventually go over the overflow and go down on the roller mat. For matter of fact, roller mat is really effective by removing detritus, but you need to get those detritus into the overflow box to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I will do in this situation, so if you really want a floor sweeper to sweep the floor, the bare bottom tank, I will use a gyre pump instead of MP, the round power head. Because the gyre pump, the long thin one, they basically blow of water like this. So basically sweep your floor. So there is some coral farm use that technique to have a gyre sitting at the bottom and pointing at the bottom so that it's like a nice sweeper, sweep the floor.
Yeah.
And then the flow will hit the other end of the tank and bounce and back up. So carry the detritus from the bottom to the up, because the overflow is at the water surface. So those detritus can reach the overflow and get removed by your roller mat. So something like that, a round one is not very effective to sweep the floor. Use a gyre. I will use a gyre instead. Yeah.
Another question from a regular viewer and a big fan of yours is Mr. Tim. Timothy Wakefield Reefer has emailed me to say, question for Dong. What is the best flow rate for the whole system? People have talked about 10 times turnover. Then when wave makers came out, it all changed to 3 to 5 times turnover. Then in the tank, 30 turnover, even 100 turnover was talked about in SPS only tanks. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so very good question, because it brings up this concept about the turnover thing. That I don't think that's really, if you talk about return pump, the how many times turnover actually makes sense, because that's actually can be easily achieved by sizing up your return pump. If you have a 100 liter tank and you have a 300 liter per hour return pump, then it definitely is 3 times turnover. That can be done. But when you talk about the wave maker, that make the flow rate extremely difficult to measure. And when you talk about since you don't have any number about the flow rate, but the flow rate also measure when there's a linear flow at full speed. So when you're doing a pulse, it's almost impossible to measure the flow rate. It can be 0 because on and off, on and off. So in this case, when we are not talking about the return pump, for the return pump are normally 10 times over turn time turnover should be good for the return pump. So for the pulsing flow and the wave and linear flow, you just have to do it by eye. For example, if you see a detritus still accumulating heavily on your coral and your rock, you probably want more standing wave. Turn up the flow.
Yeah,
I think just to add on to that,
if your coral looks sad, go ahead.
I think an important measure of flow rate is the rate of flow through your sump. What do you think of that? Are you a fan of a lot of flow through the sump or a slow flow through the sump?
That's the flow by return pump.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I think if I get the question correct, is that they used to have much higher turnover rate, like 15 to 20 years ago, right? At that time, it's because the return pump also served as a wave maker, the function, because the return pump also are responsible for the movement in your display tank. That means that's why it has such a higher flow rate. At that time, these things either very expensive or not accessible. So and then return pump always there because you can have this red snapper or whatever saying that turns, it can blow a whole building apart. The huge, gigantic, the external pump, right? That, and also the closed loop. Remember the closed loop? That is achieved by external return pump. So, but that also creates, you have a very great question. Actually, I want to answer is that when your flow in your sump is too fast, it can potentially reduce your efficiency of your skimmer.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And also the most of people, actually many people, their sump also serve as a refugium. When you have the flow rate too fast, it's not very effectively growing these little cocopods. Yeah. So Alisa said, I want my time back. Unfortunately, that's not refundable because you have to read the fine print before you watch the show. Sorry.
Mickey Moments, I'm just conscious we're wrapping up nearly well over the 2 hour mark. So, Mickey Moments, got a question for you, Dom. What's the ideal contact time then when you're talking about sump and turbo?
It highly depends on the different skimmer. Actually, there's a question by Mo about last time when we talk about the skimmer and talk about the pump size versus the height of the skimmer. The pump size actually dictated how high the water column reached.
Yes, there was a bit of debate, heated debate here, wasn't there? I remember this.
So, okay, so now come to the contact time. It highly depends on the skimmer. So supposedly, theoretically, the longer the contact time, the more effective a skimmer is. But they also come with a drawback about the size of the skimmer and the electricity the pump consume. With all that kind of thing, everything is a compromise.
Yes.
And think about that. This is a hobby. You need to get something that suitable at your house. So if you're carrying a 10-feet skimmer in your garage or in your living room, I think you're going to sleep in the garage tonight.
I've been
It
close.
got to be.
I've actually still got the suitcase in the back of the car, Steph, from Coral Freaks, just in case it happened. Yeah, I've left it there after this last couple of days. There's a question here again. Like I say, I'm going to wrap us up shortly. A few people asking various questions. Well, Rollbar, going to shout out to you. It's not seen you for Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. He's got a 3 foot long, 2 foot wide, 1.1 foot high tank. What pump do I need? Thanks. No corals yet, just fish.
Oh, you mean that? If you mean something like this, for that tank, I will get a SOW16.
Okay.
This is going to kill your coral. The too much. SOW16.
He's not got any corals yet, just got fish. Okay.
Yeah. And remember, all this DC pump, you can adjust the speed up and down.
Okay.
So,
Mo, I'm gonna get you in. Mo, I'm gonna get you on the streaming calendar. Don't you worry, and you can have a healthy debate with Dong live on stream. Don't worry, we will catch up and carry on this conversation soon. Yes. Don't. You're fine. You're fine. We're nearly 3 hours in. You're fine. You're fine. Right. I'm gonna wrap us up. I'm gonna wrap us up there, gentlemen. It is knocking on for 10 to 11 in UK. So God knows what time you are over where you are, Dong. Steph, have you enjoyed coming on and avoiding baby duties tonight?
Yeah, I've just got a WhatsApp saying I need to get to Tesco for some Actimel.
I did have a feeling that this might happen. You might have to do a midnight journey to the supermarket.
It's absolutely fine.
Or whatever it is. Or something.
No, do you know what?
Go on.
No, I've really enjoyed it. I love it. I've been schooled tonight, but I have to go away and obviously double check Dong isn't sponsored by those people. Check these facts. It's just when you see so many reef tanks around the world and how people do it, and then you bring something new to the table. It's
There's a few comments about debate, and debate is what it's all about. You know, we reef, you reef, everybody does it differently, and it's. And I think if anybody can share a little bit of information that's backed up, but like Dong is by
backed it up,
which is the important thing for me. Otherwise, it's just a question of, well, show me your tank before I listen to you, kind of conversation. But the man that is, the legend that always is, Dong's out. Thank you very much for coming on again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dong.
Amazing presentation. Jamie, thanks for joining us, mate. Happy Friday to you, man. Hope you're good.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, as well.
Thank you, Tom.
Very much. No, you're welcome.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks ever so much for the 78 of you that have tuned in this Friday night. We do hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already done so. Enjoy your weekend, whatever you're getting up to. Hopefully it's something salty and reefing related. And we will see you all next Friday. But other than that, have a good weekend. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye for now. Take care. Bye-bye.